Don't forget to hit the like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment. Also, check out my other channel, my NFL channels like Speak to Sports. You got to go there, you guys. That channel is growing fast, and pray to all here. I have to work on that. And we want Trump. We wait for him to come on. He's going to do the signing, but we want to look at what's going on with this UFC freedom. Like there's a lawsuit that's going on because people, well, Democrats, they're issuing a shocking lawsuit about this UFC fight. So anyway, while we wait for Trump, let's take a look at what's going on. We're going to see what ABC has to say.
All right, so the event starts on Friday. They've been building their structure for weeks now. They'll start with a press conference Friday at the Lincoln Memorial. That'll be Friday night. Then they're going to have a fan festival, a ceremonial weigh-in, followed by a Zach Brown Band concert on Saturday on the Ellipse, and that all leads up to Sunday, where there will be a second day of a fan fest on the Ellipse, where they're thinking 65,000 people might show up over those 2 days. While the White House UFC's Freedom 250 card is taking place inside the Octagon on the south lawn of the White House. There are 7 fights on that card, Asha, and it's headlined by the lightweight championship fight between Ilia Topuria and Justin Gaethje. The winner will also get a special Freedom 250 belt. Alex Pereira and Cyril Gane are fighting for the interim heavyweight title in co-main. And there's a few well-known UFC names that are on the undercard here. Sean O'Malley, Michael Chandler, and Derek Lewis. And Derek Lewis is an interesting one because President Trump asked Dana White specifically earlier this year why Derek Lewis wasn't on the card. Dana White then went outside, made a phone call, and Derek White is now on the card. Sorry, Derek Lewis is on the card facing Josh Hockett in one of the undercard fights.
Yeah, seriously, some big names on that card. And the South Lawn is not the only location of the White House that's being transformed for this event. The Indian Treaty Room will be turned into a locker room. Who's paying for all this to get done?
So it's the UFC. It's that simple. UFC and Dana White have said over and over again they are paying for what is a $60 million price tag. In an interview with me last month, Dana White insisted they cannot go over that number either. They've charged Craig Borsari, who's the UFC's chief content officer, with making all of this happen. Now, included in some of this is $700,000 to $1 million to repair the South Lawn, even though the UFC wasn't even allowed to dig into the lawn at all. In fact, they covered most of the grass with these durable tan mats before they put anything on the lawn itself, but they do anticipate they're going to have to do some replacing. There are some questions about some of the payment, though. The spokesperson for the District of Columbia's mayor's office did tell me on Monday that an estimated 10 to 12 million of their supplemental security fund will cover their supplemental security, not the UFC. That's a fund that is federally appropriated from the government. The district has it for federal events. That spokesperson also insisted DC taxpayers are not, I repeat, not shouldering any of that cost. A White House official told me on Tuesday, that will be today, that the UFC is paying for the entire event and that no taxpayer funds are being used other than normal duties and responsibilities of employees. Also, that the White House has not been involved in any cost negotiations or sponsorship discussions within the event.
Yeah, Michael, no matter who you ask, it seems like everyone has an opinion on this event. Fighter Bryce Mitchell spoke out at it against it at this presser this past weekend. Let's take a quick listen.
What I think personally is that our government is desecrating its role in society by entertaining sports. Our government is to protect and serve the people, and really should be as minimal as possible.
Yeah, Michael, real quick, what are you hearing from fighters who are on the card and organizers about the uproar that's against this event?
So it's interesting. I talked to a bunch of fighters in May that are on the card, and all of them were very excited to be on the card. This is before the structure started being built on the South Lawn, before a lawsuit was filed attempting to stop the card. Since then, we have not heard anything from the UFC about the lawsuit. We have not heard anything from the fighters on the card. I anticipate they'll be asked about this later this week as they get into their media duties. What I can tell you is this. When the lawsuit was filed on Sunday, and that lawsuit is alleging that the Department of Interior and National Park Service, which run the South Lawn, which run the Lincoln Memorial, violated federal law by organizing a private sporting event on public property and failing to obtain congressional approval for the event on those structures. the White House did call that lawsuit obstructionist, baseless, and dilatory. And I did speak with Brendan Bailu, who's the lead attorney for the plaintiffs in this, and he said that they believe that this whole event is a profound misuse of the sacred monuments for private gain, and they think it needs to be stopped because it breaks the law. There is an emergency injunction application.
Anyway, Trump is going to have his UFC fight, and to be honest, I wouldn't mind seeing it. So, he's going to push through it anyway. But I think that it's the first time they have any type of event. This appropriate our funds. I hope that's not being used. They said that Dana White and them, they are paying $60 million for the UFC fight. So if they're footing the bill and there's no obstruction to any of the, monuments and everything that's in Washington that people come, go to visit throughout the world, then that's fine. So I think that it's going to be entertaining. I think there are people that do want to see it. I've never been to a wrestling match. I think, to be honest, I just think it would be kind of cool to be able to watch the fight, actually there on the lawn. I don't know what kind of security they're going to have, how they're going to vet people attending, or I don't know if you have to obtain tickets. But anyway, we're waiting for Trump. Trump signed the Secure America Act. So we're waiting for him to come on. But meanwhile, we want to cover some of the other stuff that's going on. Just like I think it's this week, they're going to have that UFC fight. So you have people that's for and people are against it. I don't know if anyone in the chat, if y'all in the area, would you go? Would you go to the fight? And do you think it's safe? It's a lot of things have been jumping off in Washington, D.C. as far as security, but Trump says it's the safest place you can be at. But some people still feel like maybe that might not be a good idea, gathering for an event like that. So I don't know if you guys feel that way or if you, plan to attend, but that's something that personally, if I would be interested in. Especially never going to a wrestling match and just to see that, just the ambiance of just the environment, on the lawn, just being there it would be monumental. So I think that it was something that as long as our taxpayer dollars aren't involved, that I don't have a problem with it. If the UFC, if they're spending their own money and this is what they're doing, then it's fine. As long as it's not our money. Everybody always wants to spend the taxpayer money, but our approval on everything else except for on Americans. So anyway, so we're waiting for Trump, and there is a lot of the Democrats do have a lawsuit, against this fight, and for many reasons. So there is a lawsuit that's involved, but I think that the fight is going to go on because lawsuits take a while to even hit the court system and all that. So I think Trump will have his UFC fight no matter what. People might not like it, but he's going to have the fight. So it's a lot. They had the first lady, she was speaking this week about the remarks from, the AI challenge and all these other kind of stuff. And, President Trump did attend the NBA and finals at the Madison Square Garden. Then Trump is a New Yorker. So they've had so many actors from Spike Lee to Chris Tucker. Everyone loves New York. So, but they said that President Trump was booed. But President Trump, he doesn't care. He loves sports, so he's going to be there. And so he was there, irregardless. And he probably will go to the finals. I mean, probably the last game or whatever, whoever's going to win. But of course, a lot New Yorkers want the Knicks to win. People want the Spurs to win because of Wham. He comes from a great family and he's new to the NBA. But the NBA to me is dying down because all they do is shoot threes now. So it's not the same as when Curry first started and he was like shooting half court threes and people couldn't. Klay Thompson, don't leave Klay out of it because I think he probably was an all around better player than Curry. But Curry got more of the hype on the Warriors because if you quiet and meek, then you just get slapped around. So anyway, we're waiting for Trump. He's going to do, President Trump signs the Secure America Act. And what does that mean for Americans? What does that mean with him signing the act? So it's going to be interesting just what comes out of this meeting. So the press, hopefully they will ask some questions because every time they have the president of the year, like the last one, press conference I was listening to, they were talking about Biden's cognitive ability and what did he think about. Hi, Endor. Hey, Endor. What did they think about Biden's cognitive ability when he had his stay with Biden, all these old questions. But I hope that they've taken the time to ask questions like what's going on with the war. You know, they shot down a helicopter. We got different stuff that's going on with this Iranian war. So hopefully they're going to ask questions in regards to that. You know, Israel shot bombs at them. Iran shot bombs back, and it's supposed to have been a ceasefire. And Trump now saying all bets are off the table. So we got a lot of stuff that's going on. Another thing, I'm trying to rush because I don't know how soon he's going to come on. But the other thing I was looking at, if any of you guys have been to the supermarkets lately, I think that really tells us what's going on inside the country. Go to your supermarkets and look at the shelving. Is it more spacious? Because I've been to markets and to me, they're trying to get an illusion that there's more food on the shelves than that's actually there. Like they, you know, how they would line the shelves like with 10 products going back to the wall. What they're doing, they're lining the products up front and then they're making it look like it's full of food when if you move the bag, it's nothing but empty space behind. But I see like lesser products inside the markets, and I think that's because of the Strait of Hormuz and what's going on with there, and the prices have gone up. I can see just about everything has gone up in the market, and they were already saying in June things were going to go up. But they are up. Prices are up. There's less sales. So I'm an avid market goer. So I see the prices, and prices are up, and shelves are emptying out. And when I went to the market, I'm like, what is it? Did they call it a food shortage or something? It looked like people were shopping for their lives. Like I'm like, and the market was almost looked bare to me, you know, like a popular, you know, supermarket chain. I'm like, why is it looking like this? Why are people shopping? Did they say something in the news I didn't see? Like we need to stock up, like we had to stock up with, you know, the gloves and the face masks. Like when we had COVID, I'm like, what's this rush on food? So anyway, Trump is going to be talking about a lot. You know, he's been trying to push this Secure America Act for a while, and so it's going to be at his desk. He's going to sign it, and like I said, he is going to take questions from the reporters. So it's going to be really interesting to see like what's going on with that. He did do a goggle like yesterday or whatever, but he's happy about the construction of the ballroom. And so Trump at the end of the day is a real estate man. So he's more into beautifying everything and stuff like that. So anyway, we up there, we're waiting. Look at what's going on, Elijah. You're not even paying attention.
I'm waiting.
Yeah, you're waiting. So yeah, we're just waiting for him to come on. It's still gonna be a while. The only thing, like when they give a time, is always a lot later than what they said. And like one thing that I noticed, even with this channel, what I have to do is come on early because once the other news channels build up their following, like the big ones, they're going to send most of the viewership to them. The way that the YouTube operates now, they send everything to like the people that's already getting the views. So when I come on after everyone, then like look at what it is now. When I come on after everyone, they're going to, unless those lights go up and people are chatting it up, but there's nobody on to chat it up. And another thing, because I didn't keep the subject that what it was about, because I wanted to talk about the UFC fight and about some of the other things that's happening in the news, then I guess the way the algorithm works is that you have to, what's the title, Elijah?
Live now, President Trump signs Secure America Act of Oval Office.
Yeah, surprise. Live now, Trump signs Secure Act in White House Oval Office. So, like when you go kind of off point, but there's so many other things that I really want to talk about and discuss. Meanwhile, and I think that plays a factor as well. So it's hard to kind of move around with this, but one thing I do have to do is come on earlier than what I am. Elijah, you're not, look at it. Yeah, so I want maybe I do some of the Rory, what he had to say about the UFC. I know this is all.
You say you can't remember your
but
childhood?
it's okay because YouTube is like really restricting views
an administration official sent to me via email. They said, quote, "This is an obstructionist, baseless, and dilatory lawsuit brought simply to prevent President Trump from hosting what will undoubtedly go down as one of the most historic sporting events in our nation's history during our semi-quincentennial event. This iconic event is no different than the various other White House hosted events on the South Lawn and properly permitted events on the Ellipse and National Mall throughout the year."
You know, I'm actually shocked it took this long for the lawsuit to come forward. I mean, because everything this administration does or is doing in regards to what's happening on the White House grounds, someone is suing over it, essentially. And it's because of the times. We live in such tribal times today that even an administration who wants to set out and celebrate the 250th birthday of our country, essentially, is met with resistance in that regard. I mean, that's how bad it is, folks. Why would you waste your time, your money, your energy suing over something like this? I have no idea. But they believe they're justified.
As we've mentioned before, we are within the 1 week mark of this event taking place. I was able to speak with the attorney who brought this lawsuit on behalf of those plaintiffs. And he told me that they're bringing the lawsuit now because they're just now getting details. They saw new reporting on the 4th of June. This lawsuit was filed on the 6th of June. Earlier today, a judge who's overseeing this matter told both sides, the federal government, along with the plaintiffs here, to get together and come up with a schedule to figure out how they will be moving forward with briefing on such an expedited timeline.
So I guess it begs the question, why are they bringing this lawsuit? What's like behind this, right? What's their thinking? What is this based on? Well, according to the people behind this, they claim that there are people who are, I guess, in a position to profit from these events. So as a result, that is illegal. And so this needs to be put on hold. In fact, they go so far to say that even the Easter egg event that took place under the Biden administration, nobody made money off that. Nobody profited off that. The government didn't pay anybody for that. But this UFC event, which is being paid by the UFC, by the way, Dana White, no, someone's making money behind this, but he never ends up explaining who and how much and how. Take a listen.
The White House has hosted concerts, Easter egg rolls, and other large public events. And as I noted, Dana White, the UFC CEO, has repeatedly said that his organization is footing the bill here. So what is your argument for what makes this event legally different?
It's that these private companies who are allied to the president stand to make an enormous amount of money. You know, the fundamental difference between this and the Easter egg, roll at the White House or any of the concerts that presidents, Republican and Democrats have had at the White House before is the private profiteering. We don't have an objection to having events at the White House. It is, after all, the people's house. The problem is when the people's house is misused for the private benefit of a handful of companies that are allied with the president.
That stock was bought by the president.
It's like, to me, I mean, we don't have to fight about everything. I think we have bigger problems than that. I feel like if the UFC is paying for it, Dana White is paying for it, it's not coming out of our taxpayer dollars. I mean, it's nothing wrong with having fun in between all of the disagreements. Do something that all Americans can come together because they seemingly like wrestling, that can come together and actually enjoy the event. I don't believe. I think that we should be more focused on the Iranian war and what's going on with Ukraine and Putin and Taiwan and the Strait of Hormuz and Israel and things like that are more important. It's like the economy, the inflation, gas prices. Like, how did that lose the news cycle? Gas prices, food prices, inflation, mortgages, interest rates. Those are things that affect Americans. And it's like we're so far removed from what personally that we should be focusing on that we get in these different squabbles about stuff that doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. We got bigger problems than this. And it's disturbing that we spend so much energy going back and forth about everything. It's like everything. But we're not solving anything. So that's an issue, you guys. Let's see. Words. He's not helping Americans too busy with other countries. I voted for him 3 times. I'm pretty. Yeah. There's a lot of people that voted for Trump and supported Trump. And that's what this channel is based on. This channel kind of has taken a shift. That's why our viewership has taken a shift, because Trump started off to me like strong for Americans. And then he kind of diversed and it started becoming more attacking different ethnicities and different groups, and too much just beating down the so-called left and all that when you're the president of all Americans. But it's like we're getting sidetracked with, like, he is busy taking care of everything else except for America, except for Americans. Like everything was supposed to be done. Oh, we're going to have more jobs. We're going to take and we're going to go into the federal government and we're going to get rid of jobs. Those were American living wage jobs. Those were Americans that lost their jobs. So taking away hundreds of thousands of jobs were not replaced by the job market. When they came out with the job report, they came out, they said, oh, we did much better. We thought it'd be 50,000. We had 4,000 new jobs. That's nothing to hundreds of thousands of lost jobs. So it has to be a balance. And we're talking about living wage jobs. So they went in, you call yourself, well, we're going to gut federal jobs. Yeah, we're going to save money. They ain't save a damn thing. People just lost their whole livelihoods. What happened to those people? Those mothers that lost their jobs, those fathers, those sons, daughters, people that had jobs. People were working these jobs for 20, 30, 35 years, and they lost their jobs. They lost their departments. Look at the CDC. They got Ebola. How many? They're not even talking about Ebola. The World Health Association organization is calling it a crisis. But we're not even involved. We're not getting the reports because we pulled out of being a part of it. We barely contributed a little bit of money, but we pulled out of it. So we don't have a seat at the table now. So the CDC is important, but they're not allowed to ask questions. They're not allowed to have these conversations over there in Congo, different places where this disease is spreading, and it always starts slowly. These diseases, then the people who visit these countries start returning to their country of origin, and then these diseases start spreading to their country of origin. That's how COVID came in this country. You had Americans that traveled outside the country. Guess what? They brought it back in with it until it was all around the nation. So we don't want to wait until it's an emergency. I don't think we ever should go through anything like COVID again, that we find out the last minute and people trying to buy all the toilet tissue they can and all the wipes and masks and nothing's available and people panicking and all that. We have to be on top of these issues.
The thing is, it's good that we have social media now, because people were posting when COVID happened. People were posting online, people just falling out in the middle of the street.
Yeah.
In the place of origin of COVID. So it's good we got social media now.
Because I think you'll be more informed from people that have content creators, even in the news. Because the news, they are held back or chained to what their correspondents, what they want them to say. Whereas people who are independent, we can say whatever we want to say. We don't have contracts with companies that they can force us to say what they want us to say. And a lot of these reporters and news channels, they have to say what their bosses tell them to say, whether it's right or wrong. So we have a lot of stuff. So I agree. This is all to say I agree with his issue. Like this is a Trump voter that had been voting for him. But I think that I expected even more from Trump than what we've been getting. Trump has really now more focused on beautifying everything, because I think Trump, being a real estate guy, and this is my personal opinion, is that when he visited first Saudi Arabia, kicked it off. When he went to Saudi Arabia and saw how Prince and Qatar, how they had they had jets escorting him into the country. They had these magnificent stallion horses, and just everything was grandeur. I mean, it was like raining just wealth. And when he saw how elegant everything was, and he go to England, when he goes there, I mean, the procession and everything is on next level. Like when he goes to these other countries, when he went to China, they got the red carpet. China is impressive. Everybody's impressive. But when they come to the United States, only thing we had was like the White House, which wasn't grandeur, which wasn't like as overwhelming like all those other places. So once Trump saw that, being the real estate guy he is, what he's been focused on, look, we need to be more elaborate. This is the United States of America, the most powerful nation in the world, the most powerful country in the world. He said we need to have a better showing. So when these dignitaries come and presidents and people come from other countries, he wants us to look good. He wants us to appear powerful. He wants us to appear wealthy. And that's who he is. So that's why he wants this ballroom. He wants them to come to the White House and be able to take them in there and show them our grandeur, show them he want us to show our wealth, our strength, our power. And that's why he's more into building. He's into building and beautifying. He wants everything to be clean, beautifying. That's to him, I think, equates respect. That's just my personal opinion. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I think the only thing he really has a passion for that I hear him talking about is what he's building and tearing down.
They are arguing
Oh.
Trump and Obama in the comments.
They are.
Someone said that Obama was voted for strictly because of his color, not his accomplishments.
So Trump was voted for his accomplishments. Trump wasn't even a politician. He didn't go to law school. He didn't graduate from Harvard like Obama. He wasn't a senator. He went straight to presidency. So what accomplishments did Trump have?
Trump had nothing to do with politics.
Yeah, he had nothing to do with politics. So that just doesn't sound like you're educated at all, because to make that kind of statement, comparing former President Obama to Trump is apples to oranges. They both have their own strengths.
Yeah.
But as far as intelligent and articulation and just a president that knows the law, that studied law, that was prestigious, that was President Obama.
Yeah.
Nobody I've been in that White House had more swag than President Obama. I didn't like a lot of stuff he did.
Yeah.
I agree with stuff and I disagree with a lot of stuff because he did nothing for my personal community.
Yeah.
So he was just a fixture in there, but he didn't do anything for Black people at all. His focus was not Black people. He's the one that started LGBTQ. He's the father of that. So that was his focus.
Yeah, but I wouldn't downplay Obama like he was just voted because
Yeah. I know he was not voted because he was Black. He was voted for because people saw him what he was. He was an articulate, intelligent man that had a message about hope, and people bought into it. And he got elected twice, and that it was by all Americans. It wasn't he didn't get voted in by one ethnicity. You can't win like that. He got voted in because he was the people's choice, just like Trump got voted in by all ethnicities because during his election 2024 he was the people's choice.
You can make the same argument that every president that there's been besides Obama has been voted because they're white into the White House.
Yeah, that's another point. You could vote. Yeah, the people, you could say that every president other than Obama 250 years they were voting because they were white. You only have one Black president. So how he was voting because they were voting because they were white. It was not like other Black people never ran for president, because they did. Shirley Chisholm ran, Jesse Jackson ran. It's different people that they ran for president, but we knew they were never going to become president. So when Obama stepped up into the game, he was different, young, energetic, articulate, and he raised his funds by few dollar donations, which was never done before. It was always just like big donors. He didn't do that. The people helped pay for his campaign. So Obama Obama he is swag, and he stood his ground. He held well. Like if we could take parts from Trump and parts from Obama and put that all together in one person, that would be great. That would be great. You know, and have a president that's for all the people. So anyway, Save America, sign the Secure America Act. That's going to, I guess, be monumental for Trump's administration. But we need to require more from our leadership that we're not requiring.
Now they replied.
What they said?
They said no more fraud. You get food stamps, housing, food, medical because I work 2 jobs to pay property taxes for your services.
Who are they talking about? They said that maybe they're chatting it up with someone. Is that at someone?
Yeah, I think they're arguing with someone.
And what was their argument? Read it out loud.
You want me to read it again?
Yeah.
They said no more fraud. Do you get food stamps, housing, food, medical because I work 2 jobs to pay property taxes for your services.
Okay, so I don't know what their discussion is, but there's a lot of Americans right now that are working multiple jobs.
They replied to us. Now they said,
Yeah.
well, this is what they always say about Obama. Obama's not even American. He's Indonesian. And Trump will make sure he's arrested for treason.
You know, well, you shouldn't wake up like that. Nobody should wake up with so much hate in their heart. I mean, first of all, you can't even run for president unless you're an American citizen. Let's start with educating ourselves. Let's start. That's because his father or mother or somebody in the family was Indonesian. His mother's white. His father's African or whatever. He was born in Hawaii. You know. So and then he was president twice. But to depict people character by the color of their skin is something that will not be tolerated. You know, it won't be tolerated on earth. It won't be tolerated in heaven. If you have any plans on going to heaven, because when you go to heaven, like I say all the time, there is not an all white, black, Asian, Indian, indigenous section in heaven. So hopefully you understand that you can separate yourself here on earth, but that's not the real world. Is our spiritual lives, and we're going to have spiritual bodies, and God is not a racist. Okay, God is not prejudiced. He made us all the same. And the only reason why we have different skin color is because of location. Location. Everybody came out of Africa. It's all because of location. So we got to get used to loving one another, being around one another, supporting one another. But just to have biases against each other, that's getting so old and tiresome. We have bigger problems than problems about what people look like. Really do.
I said, how was he born in America when his father was a radical Islam Muslim camp that weren't allowed to come in our country?
You know what? I think you need to have a discussion with Chat
That's someone else.
GPT. You need to have an argument with Chat GPT. Because the way that he was fought by the Republicans and by Trump, saying birth certificate, is no way in hell on God's green earth that man would have became president and served 2 terms if he was an American. So that argument is so far removed. He's already been president. He's already been president twice, not once, twice. So we need to move on with something else, because if that was a fact what you said, he would have never became president, because they did everything in the world to stop it. And they looked into everything in the world, from FBI, CIA. They looked into everything about his citizenship in order for him to even run. And that's a more detail than you will ever be able to acquire was done to make sure he was actually an American.
Very critical. I will say it's that post that like I voted for Trump. I will say I wasn't a fan of that post he did of depicting Michelle and Barack.
Say it in the camera. You need to come here. You can say it. You gotta talk louder because you far from the camera. Go ahead. Yeah. Like what my son was saying is that he supported Trump. He voted for Trump. But he didn't respect the fact that Trump depicted Michelle and Obama as apes. That's like That was so disrespectful. And that has always been used to dehumanize Black people for some reason. And that's not the behavior of a president. So that was inexcusable. Like if you're going to talk about someone policy you don't agree with and all that, that's up for grabs because that's what politicians do. But when you start, trying to humanize people and belittle people, then that's childish behavior. That's what people do in the playgrounds. Your kids do stuff like that.
I also said, why weren't you a fan of what Trump posted?
It was a joke. It was a joke at who expense? Who was at who expense? See, it's all right if it's a joke against Black people, right? It's all right. The highest office, former president of the United States, would anybody depict Trump and Melania like that? You would find that disrespectful. You wouldn't ever call it a joke. If that never happened and people did that to Melania too, people would be losing their minds. You wouldn't think it was funny. It was it was disrespectful. It was disrespectful.
And insulting to our whole race.
Yeah. That was belittling, dehumanizing, disrespectful, insulting, offensive, all of it. It wasn't a joke. You know how people want to make jokes at your expense? You the butt of the joke, and everybody laughing, but you're the target. Everybody laughing except for you.
But it's just a joke.
But it's just a joke. It's not a joke until it's about you. Then it's not funny, right? It was uncalled for. It was unnecessary. Why? Do you know that we have problems in this country? We don't want our leaders spending time with foolishness. That was just foolishness.
I think we have a right to have
like if they had, but
someone said, "Why you mad?" Like
it's not being mad. It's being factual. See, people always want to deflect and say something else when it's factual. The point is factual. It's not humorous at their expense. We want to respect our leaders. If people say something about Trump, people who MAGA Republicans who really follow Trump, like Trump, they lose their mind over the slightest thing. But when people of other ethnicities have a problem with insults, then you mad, bro? Yeah, we are. Because it's unnecessary. I care more about mortgage payments, gas payments, increase of food, increase of inflation, increase of everything surrounding me. Your paycheck hasn't gone up, but everything's going up around you. We have things happening every day that we're like one day away from catastrophe happening in this entire country again. You got people prepping for everything right now. World War III, this, that. They prepping for food shortage. They prepping for water shortage. People prepping for everything right now. You got people that got months of food in preparation of everything collapsing. That's the real world. You got people preparing for the dollar to collapse. That's the real world. People buying gold and silver because the dollar has devalued. It was the strongest money currency throughout the world, and now is losing its value rapidly.
Bitcoin's going down.
Yeah, Bitcoin going down. Everything they talking about that everybody should be buying. Bitcoin. That's the way the currency. That's the way to go. But a lot of stuff is happening, and we're like one step away from things becoming extremely serious. As long as you can still go to the pump, what happens when there's a gas shortage and the gas isn't there? Because how much longer are we going to endure the Strait of Hormuz being closed and products and stuff not moving through? Energy costs. How much longer? We can't have this. Cannot be an endless war. If you want to see the facts, look at what's going on around. Look at the increase. It costs more and more to go out to dinner. You can't take a family out to dinner unless you're going to drop at least 200. A family of 4. That's a minimum. When I go out or taking out, they dropping 200 or more. I'm talking about lunch. So stuff is expensive, so these are real concerns. Restaurants are being put out of business because they have to reduce the quality. They're not getting the products, and it's costing them so much more for everything. So if you haven't been out for a while, or you don't go to the supermarket, then you know what I'm talking about. You go to the market, and it's like, really? This one went up $2. It was just such and such yesterday, And when you add it all together, if you spend $100 in a market, I'm talking about not even buying meat, your cart most of that cart is empty, literally empty. See, you telling the truth, and truly, yeah, endure. When I take my wife out, I'm not eat at McDonald's. Yeah, look, he like taking his wife out. Even McDonald's. Do you know what it costs? McDonald's is going out for dinner. The only thing that you're not paying is a tip. And guess what? You even got to pay tips if you say, "Well, I just want takeout. I want to skip the tip stuff. I just want to pick up my food." You cannot pick up your food without leaving a tip. If you don't leave a tip, beware of your food. You have to leave a tip. These people, whether they wait on you or not, whether you use your gas to get there, your expensive gas, where you take your time to drive there, where you go there and pick it up yourself, a tip is expected.
They get pissed off.
They get upset. It's expected. And they expect you to pay like they sat down and waited on you. So if you even do takeout and you're doing all the work, I believe wholeheartedly in tipping for service and tipping well. They should be tipped well. And like Trump did, no tax on tips, so that's great. They should be tipped well. But I don't understand why I got to tip you as much if though you were servicing me. You can't go and pick up your food. Food is expensive even with takeout. You're paying $60 for basic food for 2 people. And you gotta leave a tip, at least an 18% tip. That's what they want. Now it's 18, 20, 22%. People don't even say 15% or 10%. People really want tips, even with pickup. And I've seen the faces. I could tell just by looking. If you go and you do not leave a tip, you're not going to get quality of anything. When you go in, they look, okay, did they add a tip to this order? Add a tip. So that's why lesser people are going out. You can't even, they just eat at home because it's already expensive to eat at home because you are forced to leave a tip even without receiving service. And that's how it is. That's how the world is now. People expect you to pay them, not even getting service.
Romeo, if you go to Buffalo Wild Wings, a popular place, they ask you to tip for takeout.
They say they don't ask for tips?
They're saying what restaurants ask for tip for takeout. And I'm saying like a lot.
They all do.
Yeah.
You go to Olive Garden, they got on there still for tips. You go to Buffalo Wild Wings, they still got on there for tips. You go to any of these Chili's, Outback, all the restaurants do offer takeout. They do have for you to pay tips on there. Applebee's, all of them. They got on there for tips. What they say? Oh yeah, Wingstop. Yeah, they do ask for tips. And I don't know if the owners of these companies expect their tips to make up salaries. I don't know what they're making. But I believe that if they're waiting on you, if people are waiting on you inside a restaurant, you should give them a tip. But everywhere from Cracker Barrel, all these places have takeouts. And they all look for tips. They all go to what's it, Shake Shack? All you could go on and on and on. This just every day, like say predominantly like almost fast food to sort of being fast food, not fast food restaurants. They all have for you to leave a tip on their receipt. And if say you call it in and you don't, they wait on you according to your tip. You go to Panera Bread, all of them. Every restaurant wants a tip. The only ones that don't ask for tips is if you go places like McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, Burger King, them type of fast food restaurants, but anything beyond those, all the other restaurants, they do have on there that for you to leave a tip. And some of them, if you don't include a tip, it's a problem, Houston, because they still expect you to tip them. And I'm in between that. And I'm in between how much. I believe I still give them a tip. I don't give them a tip equate to me sitting in your restaurant eating. I don't think that I should give a tip not receiving service. I'm tipping you for picking up my own food. That I just think that's too much. But they do, I'd still give a tip, but I'm not going to tip you like you serviced me, like you waited on me, like we were inside the restaurant. And if I'm inside the restaurant, it's 18% and up that I tip, according to, it's nothing under 18%, period.
Yeah, like
Period. It's nothing under 18% will I tip, but the tip goes up according to your service. My minimum is 18%, but depending on your service, then your tip increases to that 20-22% or beyond.
so like people kind of keep saying that like they not on tip. Like if you want people, you don't want people angry who's dealing with your food, because people get extremely upset you don't leave a tip for even takeout.
They
Yeah,
get
I
upset.
don't want them angry.
Yeah, I can tell you about experience. Like when we want to talk about Buffalo Wild Wings, like a couple of years ago, I went in there and I was just doing a takeout order. And I ordered it probably on the phone, but I went in to pay for it. I laid my phone down. The server went back to check on the food. She said, "Let me see the receipt." She want to see my receipt because what she was looking for to see if I left a tip. Guess what? I never saw my phone again, my iPhone again. Never saw it again. I laid it down. I called the restaurant. She lifted the phone just like that because you have people that are so vindictive that felt as though that you're supposed to leave a tip on takeout. And that was the result of that. So when you don't leave a tip with some of these workers that feel like you're coming in just pick up your food that you ordered, that you drove, you didn't have delivery service, you drove there to get it. You did everything except for cook it yourself. That you paid for the food, but you got people that they're vindictive. You know, you can keep going to a restaurant and they seem like they don't want to tip. If you don't tip, then your food quality is going to go down. So people are so messed up now that you have people who really don't want to work now. We got a generation of people who don't even like working. They don't care about jobs. They don't care they got 5 kids. They don't want to work. So they don't have work ethic that they used to have. So when you got these people that's in these places now, they feel like you're supposed to pay them for not doing a damn thing. That's you got people that work that are they care about their job and they work with character and efficiency. But then you got a lot of people that they don't care, and that's the type of service you
Like
get.
if you could tip at Chick-fil-A, Chick-fil-A would never do something like that.
Yeah, Chick-fil-A, like, it's my pleasure. They got some of the best service at Chick-fil-A. And a lot of companies need to model after them. They show appreciation for the customer. They honor God. They close on Sunday. You know how much money they could be losing, but God makes it up during the week. They get every time you go there, your food is quality. It's not like food that, okay, you didn't tip and this is what you get. They don't ask for tips, they don't require tips, and they make you feel you glad you was there. And they train their employees well. And I like the way that they treat customers at Chick-fil-A. So you go to some of these restaurants that you're dropping $300, which the ones I like going to, say for lunch or dinner. I'm talking about 1 or 2 people, and they don't have the same quality and professionalism that they have at Chick-fil-A. So their work ethics and their model, they never stray from that. They are that's a great company to work for, I believe. I never worked in fast food or anything like that, but I like but I had read up on Chick-fil-A and how they model, how they're very selective with the people that are able to have franchises. You just can't own a Chick-fil-A, and you have to follow their guidelines and their criteria, and you have to be approved. And they have like, I don't know how many tens of thousands of people applying, but they are very selective, and very few people get to open up a franchise because they are strict about their standards, and it shows. Because I've never been to Chick-fil-A, and the just the people taking your money, taking your order, handling your food, it's always been welcoming, and it's always been like, it's my pleasure. And I love when they say, my son be looking like, did they say my pleasure? They supposed to say, like, they said my pleasure. I said, but they were nice, it's just they never stray from that. So I respect that type of franchise. I think a lot of other companies, regardless whether it's high end or fast food, I think they all should follow their model because it makes a difference. They're well trained, and it says a lot about the character of the company. This is really long. So I could have did a whole nother video, which I wanted to do, and they still not on. And this YouTube thing, I don't know what's going on. I have never seen our channel like this. I think they got a block or something on us because this is just so incredible. But it's like the way you got to do it now. I'm gonna try. I have to come on before the actual event, early before the other channels, because once say Fox News and some of the other channels, Breaking Forward News and all these other channels, once they already had the people, then that's who YouTube send the people to, because they go about like the likes, and they go by the chats, and they don't care how large the channel is. You have a channel with 500 people and get people sent to you as long as people are chatting up and people like you're on first. So what's happening when I'm late to the party, when I'm last coming on, we're getting like, ribbons. And I don't even know if they're sending it to our subscribers, because we have like 36,000 subscribers. So they're not even sending it out, and everything is being controlled by this algorithm, by AI. So the way that they're doing everything now, YouTube has certainly changed. It's not the same. It's changed. And
got a hater in the comments.
What did they say?
I'm gonna block him.
What did he say?
He said, "Here's crazy again. Is she excited? Mike Johnson announced he's gonna take her Medicare and Social Security."
I think this sounds like you have a personal problem, because I have federal Blue Cross Blue Shield. So what are you talking about?
You sound like the crazy one.
Yeah, you sound really out there. Look at you trying to stereotype. That's your problem. That's absolutely your problem. It's so sad how we got these older, elderly people on here, and they always have like sound like children. When I look at like the age bracket like this show, it's like people are 30 and older at a minimum. There's no children on here. But the comments, you'll be surprised. These are grandpas and grandmas. They sound so childish. Whatever Mike Johnson does, it wouldn't affect me personally. It affect all Americans. How about it affect you? How about he gonna take your Medicare or your Medicaid away? How about that? How about you don't have a job and you need the government to help fund your care? Or you have a child or someone that needs Medicaid that was in an accident, or unfortunately the things happen, they lost their job, and they need the government to help them with health care. How about that? That affects all Americans. But I'm not selfish like that. I care. That's why this channel is here. I care what happens to others. It's not about me, because my help coming from God. My help don't coming from man. My help coming from the Lord. My trust is in God. God said he will provide all my needs according to his riches and glory through Christ Jesus. So God has always taken great care of me. I have never lacked, this is where I have never lacked any good thing. Never in my life have I ever lacked any good thing. And that's because of the grace of God. Not because I'm special, not because of my ethnicity, not because because I'm a child of God.
It's always two people.
And I put God first in my life. What about, who do you put first?
It's always the people too with no profile pictures that come on here. And he said something else now. I'm going to read it.
Yeah, go ahead, go for
He
it.
said, yes, dear, that's the point. Americans will lose their Social Security, Medicare. You support them, they screw you. You paid into it your whole life, yes? God didn't give you Social Security and Medicare. Democrats did.
What? So you put man over God? Are you okay? God gave you life. God gave you your health. God gave you the job so that you could have Medicare. God is the provider. You know the Jehovah Jireh, the God provider? Man didn't provide a damn thing. It's because of God. You thought man woke you up today? Who? You think that you healthy because of what?
That's like the craziest thing I've seen on chat. He's putting politics over God. That politics is like bigger than God. That is the craziest thing I saw.
Well, both of parties, nobody is really fighting for us. The only one that's your advocate fighting for you is the Lord Jesus Christ. Everybody has an agenda. Both parties have an agenda. And most of the time, we're last on the list. So I don't want to see anybody lose health care.
Someone else said, okay, then God can send you the money.
And he will, and he has. Because God uses other people to bless you. It don't fall out the sky. He gives you favor with those in authority over you. It's favor that follows you everywhere you go.
And like how it says in the Bible, you don't work if you don't eat.
Yeah, that's right. You don't work, you don't eat. Like my son said. In the Bible, God expects us to work and earn a living. He don't expect us to sit around and be lazy. He abhors laziness. He hates it. He wants us to work and be productive. So you do your part and God will do the rest. You go to work and you do what you're supposed to do, and God will make up for whatever else. He'll keep you healthy. What better physician is there than God who created us? He's a great physician. I'd rather be healthy and not have to go to a doctor than have my health care, which I'm grateful for, but then to be ill.
Primal, I see that you're obviously an atheist or a Satanist, but without God, there would be no ability to even get a check. There would be no ability to even think of a check. There would be no ability to do anything. So your point doesn't make any sense because without God, that wouldn't be possible.
You wouldn't even be on here right now breathing without God. You are aware of that. Man did not create you, or a robot, or AI,
So we waiting on God,
or some alien from Mars. God is the creator. And you sound like you're going through a lot. So maybe you need prayer because you're bitter and you're upset and you're taking it out on people who don't even know you, that haven't done anything to you. If you have a problem with what's happening in the government, it's the people you're talking about, all of them. So in order for you to do better, is you need prayer and you need God. Ask God to provide all your needs according to his riches and glory through Christ Jesus. And you need to trust in the Lord with all thine heart, lean not to thy own understanding, all thy ways acknowledge him, and he'll direct your path. But man is not the all-knowing. God is omnipotent. God is all-knowing. God is present everywhere. You have to put your trust in God because man is fallible. You cannot depend on man for anything. Do you see what this world looks like right now? Do you see how this world has taken a turn?
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Anytime you're ready. Are you ready? We're ready. It's an honor to have these very distinguished people alongside of me, not behind me, alongside of me. I would never say behind me because they're not behind anybody. They're great. This morning, I'm thrilled to sign the Secure America Act to immediately and fully fund the Department of Homeland Security through the end of my term. So we won't have that to be talking about anymore.
No, we will not, sir.
We'll give the heroes of ICE and Border Patrol, and that's what they are, the heroes, what they have to go through to keep us safe. The support and resources they need to defend our borders, protect our homeland, and to keep America safe. I want to thank Speaker Mike Johnson. He's incredible. Where is Mike Johnson? Mike, you're doing an incredible job. And not a big majority, just about to have 40 or 50. I don't think you know what to do. He said, what are we doing? He's done an amazing job. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche, he tied us up, and I hear he's got tremendous support in the Senate. And he's got tremendous support everywhere. Actually, he's doing a fantastic job. And Secretary of Homeland Security, Mark Wayne. Where's Mark Wayne? He gave up his Senate seat. He had a guaranteed seat for the next 40 to 50 years. And he gave it up to be Homeland Security because he just wanted to. Yep. Amazing. As well as Senate Majority Leader John Thune and Senate Majority Whip John Barrasso, who's here, I think.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And John is, you're incredible. From day one, we got along, right?
Absolutely.
First day I met him. House Majority Leader Steve Scalise, one of the bravest people.
Yeah.
And what he went through is incredible, incredible. And he's, actually, I think he looks better now than he did.
Rather than the game tonight.
Oh, is it tonight? Baseball, so much fun. And House Majority Whip Tom Emmer, who is an unbelievable leader, actually, just so highly respected. And he's in Minnesota, and he's ripping them because he knows what's going on. I mean, it's you have the chance now, Tom, because people have really found out about it. So I want to thank you. So but he's working with our people. They look like Elliot Ness. It looks like Elliot Ness at the gang up there. They're finding billions of dollars of fraud. And Tom Emmer is really helping us. Thanks, man. And thanks as well to Senators Lindsey Graham. What a big victory last night. Won by a lot. And no runoff, no nothing. Had a lot of very capable people running against him, and it just blew him away. So Lindsey Graham, congratulations. Chuck Grassley, Rand Paul was here. Hi, Rand. Boy, oh boy, it's nice to have Rand. It's a good thing to have Rand. He knows what's important. Eric Schmidt has been an incredible senator, wherever you may be. He's still enough. He's usually not too hard to find. And Bernie Moreno. Is Bernie here? Where's Bernie? Hi, Bernie. What a job, right?
Absolutely.
So how's the race going in Ohio?
You're very popular there, and you'll drag every Republican.
I hope so. Well, I love Ohio. We won by a lot. But you ran an incredible race. It was
A big assist.
they weren't giving him a big chance, and he ended up winning quite easily, right? So it was great. We're also pleased to be joined by Representatives Lisa McLean, Jody Arrington, and Jody, where's Jody? Jody, you're doing a great job, Jody. Garbarino, Laura Lee, thank you. Riley Moore, a newcomer who's doing really well. Guy Reschenthaler, Derek Van Orden, as well as Angel Sister Chris Story, you know that?
Yeah.
Fantastic. And we appreciate it, Chris, we appreciate it. For more than, thank you very much, appreciate it, being here. Gone through a lot. For more than 100 days, congressional Democrats tried to block all funding for the Department of Homeland Security in a reprehensible attempt to throw open the borders of the United States of America. They want to drag us straight back to chaos and crime of the crooked Joe Biden administration, one of the most corrupt administrations, probably the most corrupt ever. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And we're not going to let them do that. I have to say that Washington just had some crime numbers out, and it's the lowest crime numbers we've had, they say, in 58 years. So we went from being a crime-ridden city, our capital, and being a crime-ridden place to being among the safest cities in the country. I'm so happy. And you're a big beneficiary because most of you live here. You hear all the time, the press, the media, and even actually some of the media, a couple of people that I would not suspect, a couple of people truly treat me unfairly, but they came up and they thanked me because it's so much. We have a safe city now. And we also have a beautiful city. We had 22 fountains. Every one of them didn't work. One of them, probably the best was one that hasn't worked for 50 years. That was about the best. They've all been out of commission for 50 years or more. Can you imagine it? And they were graffiti strewn, grass growing through the cracks, and they were in terrible shape. And all 22 have now been opened. And the most magnificent possibly of all, the one in front of Union Station is beautiful. You see that? It was all graffiti all over the place. We, through a lot of work, we got it looking maybe better than it was the day they put it in. But the one that they're all talking about is the almost 2,500 foot long. It's taller than any building in the world, actually. There's no building that's 2,500 feet tall, I don't think. But it's like twice the height of the Empire State Building, as an example, much wider. So we just got that open last night. We went to do it before July 4th, and it is incredible. It's called, it was originally called, 1922 it was built, it was called the Reflecting Pond, or the Reflecting Lake, some people called it. But it was supposed to be a reflection. It never worked from 1922 because it was stone on the basin. No matter what, it always leaked because you have stone and you have lots of crevices. We have nice stone out there, but if you go between the stone, it leaks. And so it never really worked very well. And it was a bad color. It was gray. It's concrete and stone, so it's gray. And I had the idea along with some great people that worked for us. Doug Berger was fantastic. His group, Greg, everybody. And we worked very hard, but it was going to cost $400 million, and we did it for about $10 million. It was going to take 4 years to build, and we did it in like a month and a half. And we would have had a construction site out there for years, and it wouldn't have worked when they built it. So when they told me what they were going to do, I said, that's not a good idea. I've built many swimming pools as a builder. I built hundreds of them. And I got one of our contractors, I had him take a look. And he said, oh, we can do a great job if you could just give us a decent surface. The surface was in, so we sandblasted the surface. We fumigated it. We took out 11 dumpsters, big dumpsters full of garbage. It was all garbage. Some of the garbage was there for years. It was all disgusting, and it smelled. And anyway, we took 11 dumpsters of garbage out with shovels. We had a shovel inside of what's called a pool or a lake, and got it cleaned. We then fumigated it. We then sandblasted the entire thing, washed it, cleaned it, scrubbed it, sandblasted it. Then we gave it a test, and we rinsed it out, and we gave it a beautiful surface. And then they put a swimming pool topping, but industrial strength. It's industrial strength. It's used for tanks and lots of other things to hold water. And we worked out the ratios of expansion and contraction because, believe it or not, when you have something that's 2,500 feet long, there's tremendous expansion. And who would think of this? Only person that does it, like me. And they have a lot of expansion and contraction. So when we're putting the surface down, we'd leave areas that can expand and contract a little bit because it expands over 1.5 feet, can you believe it? So I would have ripped it apart. So we left areas of expansion and contraction. We were testing it for 3 weeks, 4 weeks. It works great. And we just opened it last night, and people are going wild on it. So it was going to cost $400 million, and we did it for 10, probably 10 if you take away a couple of things. We did a much bigger job than originally planned because once we put that in, it looked so good. The sidewalks outside didn't look good anymore. They looked like they were in good shape. But when you do something new in this business, you do something new, the thing that you thought were good, you say. So we ended up sandblasting, steam cleaning and sandblasting the sidewalks around. And we had a lot of areas that were in bad shape. We had to fix them. We patched them, and you can't even see the patch. We have granite surrounding the pool, and the granite's great, but it was filthy, dirty, disgusting. And it was broken in some cases. We were able to carve out pieces from other pieces that were identical and put them in, and you can't even see the seam. And it's like it's in better shape than it was when it was built. And I tell you, from 1922, never worked because it always leaked because it had a stone base that would have leaked through the stone. So we're very proud of it. It's going to be great. Now we're doing the new surface of the World War II fountain because the surface is so bad. And that'll be done during the next we're going to start it in a week or so and finish it very quickly. But we've done a great job. And the city everyone's coming up to me and saying, the city is so beautiful. So we have 22 fountains that none of them work. The earliest, I'm telling you, is 50 years. For 50 years, some of them haven't worked for 100 years. But we have fountains that were not working and were disgusting and dirty. And they're all beautiful now, every one of them. We also took care of a lot of the monuments, not fountains, but monuments, and they're all in good shape. Some of them are being finished up now. And it's incredible. And my goal was to get it all done along with Interior and others that worked with us to get it done before the July 4th date. July 4th was a very important date. So that was the date we looked at, and we did a hell of a job. But everybody's looking at that reflecting pool. They can't believe it. It reflects. It used a dark blue. It's called American flag blue. I wanted to go light, but they said, sir, light doesn't reflect. And light shows leaves and garbage of garbage. One man said, sir, when you leave, it'll be strewn with garbage again. You don't want that. See, when I'm here, it'll be perfect. But when I leave, I said, you're right about that. You're probably right. Depending on who's president or who's running it. But it's really beautiful. It's something for you to see. It's incredible. It's the longest pool in the world by 3 or 4 times. It's really pretty amazing. That's where Martin Luther King made his great speech. And they said he had 1 million people. And I made a speech there for July 4th a few years ago. And they said, and I was packed. And they said, I had 25,000 people. They said, he had 1 million, but we were looking at the picture. I said, well, wait, the people are even tighter at mine. I had more people than him, but they said I had 25,000 and he had 1 million. But I'm not going to argue with Martin Luther King. But the Secure America Act provides $38 billion to ICE, $26 billion to Border Patrol to ensure these critical law enforcement agencies have the necessary resources to do their jobs, protecting our borders and getting criminal aliens out of the country. And starting on day one of my administration, we took the most dangerous, unsafe, violent, and open border people out of this country. We got them out. I'll give you an example. In Washington, I don't even know if you know this, it's not just policing. You have criminals, you have career criminals. There's nothing you can do to make them nice. They're tough people, they're bad people. Some of them had records, 22, 23, one in 28 arrests, and rough arrests for murder. And we took out almost 5,000 people out of Washington, D.C. And if you remember, so 2% of the people create 91% of the crime. When you hear that number, it's great. I love that number because you could handle 2%. If it's 91 create 91, that's no good. Too many people. But 2% of the people, and we took 5,000, almost 5,000 people out of Washington, D.C. They'll never come back. In addition, the National Guard, and we worked with the police department, law enforcement was great. And we have a very safe city. Everyone's going out to eat now. Restaurants were all closed. They were all closing. A few that were open were closing. And now you can't get a restaurant in Washington. Everyone wants to have a restaurant. It's a whole different, so it's something we're very proud of. New Orleans, the same thing, by the way. It's a little earlier in the process. But if I got a call from your governor, I got a call from Steve. They called me together actually, and they said,
Safest Mardi Gras.
they said, we've never had a Mardi Gras like that. They had the lowest crime they've ever had in the history of the Mardi Gras, which has been going on for a long time. They usually, Steve said, they usually have numbers of murders that they had none, but beyond murders, I heard it was the best you've ever had.
It really was. A great Super Bowl too.
And Memphis, and that's going to be great for the Super Bowl because we'll keep it up. I think you're bidding on the Super Bowl coming in
2031.
Yeah, and it's going to be now. You can really say it was a safe city. And the other one is Memphis. Crime is down 77%. Can you believe it? People are calling me up, friends that were leaving Memphis. We're leaving and now they're staying. And the governor's, everyone's thrilled. It's amazing. And if they would call me for Chicago, we'd straighten out Chicago so fast. We'd straighten out New York fast. We'd straighten out Los Angeles fast. We do it really well. And part of it is you have to get the really bad ones. You have to get the career criminals out because they will they'll hit you hard, and they ought to get rid of, by the way, cashless bail. You ought to do that as soon as possible. When they walk in, they commit a crime, they go out, in the afternoon, they commit another crime. And sometimes those crimes are murder.
Right back on the street, right?
Cashless, I'll tell you what, cashless bail was a tremendous help to criminals. It's one of the greatest things that ever happened to a criminal, and they ought to end it. In every city, they ought to end it. Chicago, New York, LA, they ought to end it. Starting on day one of my administration, we took the most dangerous, unsafe, violent open border in the world. We had the most unsafe border, I believe, anywhere in the world. And the numbers came out 2 days ago. And for 11 months, not one person came into our country illegally through the southern border. There are 25 million people come in over a 4-year period. We have it good, and nobody tries to come in. All the caravans, I came up with the name caravan. We have 25, 30,000 people coming up, and they pour through the border. You've seen the scenes where they're knocking over the fences. A very, very bad, very dangerous situation. We don't have them anymore because they know they can't get through. So when they know they can't get through, they don't come. And a lot of lives are saved. Women were being raped on the journey up. They were being raped in numbers. 25, 30% were being raped coming up. You don't have that anymore because they don't come up in caravans anymore because they know they're not going to get through. So starting on day one, we took the most dangerous and unsafe, violent, open border in the world, and we created the most secure border anywhere in our country, probably one of the most in the world. I believe it was the most insecure and unsecure border anywhere in the world, because there's no country, even a third world country, that has a situation like that, where you'd have criminals just walk across totally unchecked. And the Biden, wasn't Biden, he didn't know what the hell was going on. It was people that are radical left lunatics who were very smart, very violent, very vicious, politically vicious. And they allowed this open border policy where millions of people came into our country, unchecked, unvetted. People from jails, people, drug dealers, people from mental institutions. Jails and mental institutions from all over the world were emptied out into our country. And we've got a lot of them out. We have a ways to go. It's very tough with the courts because the judges have been very terrible. They've been terrible, very sad. But we're fighting our way through it. We have made this in fact, we made it a country that, as you saw last month, they said we had the lowest murder rate that we've had in 125 years. Think of that. And that's despite the fact, because we got a lot out, but we do have more. We had 11,888 people come into our country who committed a murder. 50%, more than 50%, created more than one murder. Think of that. So you had people coming in, I think seven murders. We allowed them into the country. We got most of them out. In the last 12 months, 0 illegal aliens have been admitted to the United States. We cut the flow of fentanyl across our border by almost 60%. Think of that. And by the way, coming in by sea, 97%. And we're looking for the 3% because we think they're among the bravest people. We cut it down, right? We cut it down 97%. And now I hate to tell this to Mexico, but we're now focused on coming in by land because the sea was tougher. A lot was coming in by sea with much bigger percentage than anyone would know, safer for them. It used to be said not safe anymore. But we're 97% down coming in by sea, by ocean, by water. And you see what happens to them. And they don't do it a second time. They were totally unchecked. When they did capture somebody, they'd bring them in, they'd book them, and they'd let them go. They'd go and they'd be back on the boat the following night. So we're doing a great job. In the last 12 months, the numbers have changed in this country like nobody's ever seen before. 0 illegal aliens have been admitted. And that's made by largely Democrat people. Those lists are made. And I find it hard to believe when I say 0. There must have been some. but they say zero, and it's very close to zero. It's hard to believe. You look, they used to have that certain areas on the other side of the wall. I built over 1,000 miles of wall. Without the wall, you couldn't do it. But I built over 1,000 miles of wall. We're building more now in certain areas where you need it. But nobody's ever seen anything like this. They had plazas. We have thousands of people standing in those plazas. They actually made them out of concrete because the land was so disgusting and dirty, and it was so muddy and horrible. So they put massive concrete plazas on the other side for people to wait getting in. There's nobody on them. There's nobody. They took a picture this morning. There was nobody on any of the plazas. They had 4 of them, big ones, where they come and stand by the thousands. There was nobody on the plaza, so it's really amazing. I want to speak about it in my speeches. I made a speech last week, which is really wonderful. Wisconsin.
Right.
And I want to speak about the great job I've done on the border. And my people said, "Sir, nobody cares about that." I said, "What do you mean?" I got elected on that twice, actually, because I got elected the first time in 2016. And after I left, it became horrible. Second time was far worse. What it was in 2025, it was so bad, far worse than 2016. 2016 was like a pleasure trip by comparison to what it became. It became worse in the history of the world. I don't think there's ever been a border where 25 million people came across, all unchecked and unvetted. Never let that happen. We can never let that happen. What happened to our country again? Because no country can stand it. No country could have withstood what these people. We had a border czar who never saw the border. We had a border czar who never called, never once, the people that were giving good paychecks to. They never called up ICE. They never called up the Border Patrol, who were phenomenal people, by the way. She never once called them. She was the border czar for 4 years, almost 4 years, and she never went to the border. And she never called up. I used to call them all the time. Paul, Brandon, I used to call them all the time and say, "Hi, how we doing on the border?" So we're doing okay. But they're great people, amazing people. She never called them. We had the worst border, I think, of any country in history. No third world country would allow people to come into their country like that. So the bill provides crucial funding for domestic law enforcement investigations and combating child exploitation, continuing our work to restore law and order across our nation and to protect America's youth. We're so proud of Washington, D.C. and the National Guard, the job they've done. And we worked with the Washington, the Capitol Policing. They're great people. I've gotten to know so many of them. Very simply, the radical left Democrats, and I'm going to use that term a lot because they're dumb. I mean, who wants open borders? Who wants transgender mutilization of your child? Who wants that? Who wants men playing in women's sports? They're dumb. They're Democrats. They have the worst policy of anybody. I watched that thug that's up in Maine. He's a thug. And they're trying to make excuses for him. I mean, he's worse than any human being that's ever run for office, probably. I don't know him. I don't want to say bad, but I just look. I mean, nobody's ever had a record like that. And you'll have Schumer. He goes crazy over this or that, or Epstein. This guy. Why are they talking about him? He said, "Well, we don't know, but this guy's got a rap sheet. I've never seen anything like it. He's a thug. I know thugs. I had to deal with thugs. I built a lot of buildings. I dealt with the toughest people on earth. I dealt with worse than thugs. This guy's a thug. He's a low-level thug. And he's running to be a senator, to work with Eric Schmidt. Eric will handle it. To be with Barrasso, who the hell do we have to be with Rand? Now, Rand would be very interesting. Rand would figure it out and he'll put him away. But this is a thug. He's a cheap, no good person. And I watch these senators, the Democrats, and, well, we don't really know. You do know. He's bad. I've never seen a person like that run for office. And the guy from Texas, different, but he's terrible too. He's terrible. These are radical left communists. But I watched this guy this morning, and he was so bad. He was so mad. He's a bad guy, just a bad guy. He must be laughing up his sleeve when he looks at these idiots going like Schumer, well, he's okay, he's okay. He's not okay. Can you imagine the Republicans had him?
Oh my God.
No way. Him, so, well, I really believe it. If it meant losing the Senate, you would not let that happen. It's just a terrible thing. I mean, I watch it happening. It's unfolding. It's really history because there's never been a guy like that that's ever run for office at any level. I don't think at any level. And the excuses, they come up every day. Somebody comes forward with really proven stuff. Even his business, he's not a businessman at all. His parents supported him. The guy's a loser. Other than that, he might be very nice. But very simply, the radical left Democrats, and I look forward to the day when I don't call them Democrats anymore. And I won't if they do their job. If they want to stop crime, if they want to lower taxes, if they want to do the education, the good things. There's so many things we can do together. I look forward to the day that I don't call them Democrats anymore. There'll be that day, I think, I hope. But they're in Congress and they voted with the cartels, the terrorists, the gang members, the drug dealers, the human traffickers, the child predators. And our great Republican majorities voted to protect law-abiding American citizens. They voted to raise your taxes. They voted for men and women's sports. They voted in favor of men participating in women's sports. It's ridiculous. They voted for the transgender mutilization of your child. They voted for all these things. They voted for open borders. So bad. One of the worst things that's ever happened in this country. Hardest thing to cure. Because we had 25,000 people. Remember this, because countries sent those people up. When countries put people into a cartel, through the cartels, they put them into a whole group of 10, 15, 20,000 people that come in. They're not giving you their best people. They're giving you people that they don't want. And they're sending them into war. And the Democrats voted in favor of that. It's really a shame. And it's so bad for the country. You'd almost think they hate the country. Because they're not stupid people. You can't cheat like they did. And look at the election in California as an example. After a week, they determined that the kid who's leading and had all the mojo, all of a sudden he doesn't make the runoff. And then I hit them hard on that, but I started talking about Steve Hilton, who's a fantastic guy. And I saw them saying it was going to be 2 weeks before they knew. And I started hitting them. It's going to happen to Steve Hilton too. You got to watch. And they approved Steve Hilton very quickly. There was too much heat on him. The only reason he got approved, he had all the votes he needed, probably to be first place. But the only reason they approved Steve Hilton was going to be 2 weeks. They said it. And then they approved him that night because the heat was on them. Because they're cheating dogs. And you can't have a great country when that happens. That's why Los Angeles, that's why that state is in such trouble. It's the most beautiful place, best weather maybe anywhere in the world, but it's in big trouble. So we're going to have a tremendous success. The people alongside of me are amazing people. They're amazing people. Every one of them. I know every one of them. They're amazing people. They love the country. They want to do right for the country. And if you have any questions, please, let's go.
Mr. President, you posted this morning about Iran. You said that they've taken too long to get to a deal. I want to make sure I quote you correctly. You said that now they will have to pay the price. What did you mean by that specifically?
Well, we're going to be attacking them very hard.
Resuming bombing?
Yeah, well, we are. Based on the helicopter, I guess we have the right to do that. They shot down a very incredible, actually an incredible machine. And at first they said they didn't do it, then they admitted they did it. It's sort of easy because we have the bomb. We actually have the bomb. I'm very lucky that bomb didn't explode. That bomb was lodged in the helicopter, it didn't explode. It was on fire, but it didn't explode. It's just those two guys, they knew how to fly, but they got very lucky. And then we had the unmanned boat going very, very fast at speeds that you wouldn't want to go. That's why it's unmanned, I guess, because nobody can go in that. But they rescued, so both people are, fortunately, the pilots are okay. Now, look, I've been, working with Iran for a number of months, and they should sign the deal. It's a good deal. It doesn't give them the right to have a nuclear weapon. In fact, it totally prohibits them from ever having a nuclear weapon. And it was just tap, tap, tap. I don't know what they're doing. So they then shot at our helicopter, very expensive helicopter, by the way, but much more importantly, the two men, fortunately, they're okay. But an amazing rescue. If you ever get a clip, you won't believe the rescue, how cool it was. The equipment we have. Look, we have the strongest military in the world. And I gave them a break at the request of Pakistan, the Field Marshal and the Prime Minister of Pakistan are great. We stopped them from going to war with India. You would have had a nuclear war if it wasn't for me. But they became friendly to me, very friendly, and they're close to Iran, and they work, and they still are working on trying them to do what's right. But we want a deal that's meaningful. We want a deal that works. We don't want to just have a Barack Hussein Obama deal, JCPOA, the worst deal. That was a path to a nuclear. It's the exact opposite. You know, I like our television show. Oh, they should have got that deal. First of all, it was over. It was a short-term deal. That deal was a path to a nuclear weapon. This is a path against a nuclear. You can't have a nuclear weapon. His was a path to a nuclear weapon. They were developing during his administration nuclear weapon. If they had a nuclear weapon, there'd be no Israel, there'd be no Middle East, and they would have absolutely shot at us. So we'll see what happens. But we hit them hard yesterday, and we're gonna hit them again hard today, in case you miss it, in case you don't turn on your television set. And we'll see what happens with the deal. We were really close to a deal, but they keep tapping us along. They keep playing us for suckers because you know what? They dealt with some very stupid presidents. I have to say that. I'm embarrassed to say it. Some very stupid people who are sitting here. Yeah.
Mr. President, you mentioned the Senate race in Maine. Are you all in supporting Susan Collins? Does she have your full support and endorsement in her Senate reelection?
She's a sane woman. She's not my best friend, you know. These guys are. I get along well, but I have some. But she's a sane person, and she's a person that never missed a vote in many years. I mean, she's like had 10,000 votes. She had 10,000 votes. She never missed a vote. Unfortunately, because sometimes she voted against me. You know, look, she's a sane woman, and she's a respected person. Maybe a little different ideology than me, but this guy is a thug. He's a fake thug. He's a phony. I made a lot of money picking out phonies. He's a real phony. He's bad. He's a bad person.
Mr. President, are you going to go back to attack, or are you thinking of attacking Iranian power plants and bridges as you?
Well, I'm not going to say that to you, but I can do that. Look, I can knock out. We have the most powerful. I built the military with these people approving it, approved numbers that nobody would have ever thought we would be. But we built it. We gave a lot to Ukraine through Biden. He gave a lot of money, a lot. We're in great shape. We have a lot of storage capacity, but he gave a lot. And if you look at what's happened, when I left, our cupboards were full. He gave it. Now I sell it to the European Union, and they give it to Ukraine for the most part. But we have the strongest military anywhere in the world, and sometimes you'll have to use it. And we have to remember. And when people hear this, Iran very simply cannot have a nuclear weapon, and they won't. And they've agreed to that. All they have to do is they have to start signing a paper. It's fully negotiated. We have a fully negotiated, but they're tapping and tapping. And I said, all right, let's give them a couple of more days. They're tapping. Because it's a meaningful paper. They know when they sign that paper, it's meaningful. The Obama deal, JCPOA, one of the worst, one of the dumbest documents I've ever seen. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. President. When are you meeting with tech executives about the government taking a stake in AI companies, and what could this partnership look like?
About AI? Well, I can say this. We're having a meeting with them It's an amazing industry. It's bigger than any industry anyone's ever seen. We are leading China by a lot. And, you know, whoever leads that is gonna really lead the world to a large extent. That's how big it is. I'm gonna have meetings with the top 12 or 15 executives very shortly. And we're talking about giving back something to the public. And if we do that, the public will become very rich, the people in our country, because that's the kind of money we're talking about. And I think they'll do that, and I think it'll make it very popular.
Mr. President, I have two questions. First of all, Turkish President Erdogan keeps threatening Israel. Do you think there's a chance of a conflict between Israel and Turkey, and will you sell F-35 to
Well, as
Turkey?
you know, he's a very good friend of mine. And we've worked very well together. I like him a lot. I'm not supposed to say that because the press will say, oh, he likes Erdogan. No, he's a hell of a leader and a strong person, very strong person. I haven't heard that at all. If I did, I'd call him and I think I'd make sure that things were fine. I don't think that will happen with Turkey. Not as long as I'm president, because he respects me and I respect him. But beyond that, we have a good friendship. So we'll see.
That's my second question. Besides peace in the Middle East, what do you wish yourself for your birthday?
Well, I'll go a step bigger. Peace for the world, okay? Peace for the world. Middle East, yes. Peace for the whole world, yeah.
Mr. President, there is a New Jersey Democratic congressional nominee over in the 12th district. His name is Adam Homily. He has a connection to the Blind Sheikh. And I was wondering if I can get your thoughts on that.
Okay. I think it's terrible. I've seen it. I mean, he was, well, you know, now he's trying to say, yeah, I sort of knew him. He didn't know him. They were very good friends. And you go back and look at what happened during that period of time. He was a witness at the trial for him. He was a positive witness for him. He said the most glowing things. The guy knocked down the World Trade Center, admitted that he knocked down the World Trade Center. I think it's another one if you look. I actually think the one in Maine is worse because he's just an outright pig. He's like a pig. I watched him a couple of times. He's like a pig. That's what it reminds me of. You know, I come up with good names for people. I don't want to stick him with that one, although I think pigs would be very upset about it.
Mr. President, July 1st is coming fast. How confident are you that we'll be able to renew the USMCA, and what more do you expect from Canada?
Well, I'm not looking to renew it. I don't, I made the deal. And the primary reason I made the deal is that NAFTA was the worst trade deal I've ever seen. And I made it better, but I had the right to terminate. And, you know, with NAFTA, we didn't have the right to terminate. I had to get these senators to approve that deal. That was a tough thing, Congressman too. NAFTA had no termination. So, I've never said this before, but I'll tell you what my thinking was. NAFTA was a disaster for our country. The worst trade deal ever made, by far. You know, they had typos in, okay? And they were supposed to correct them. And they never corrected them when they were signed. They knew they were typos. And there's a process for that. You state your claim and, you get it changed. They had typos on percentages. Or maybe somebody wrote, and that was for years. They never had that horrible, all against us. So it probably wasn't typos. And NAFTA was the worst trade deal we ever had. USMCA did one thing that I loved. After 6 years, it comes up for renewal. I don't know that I'm going to renew it because, to be honest with you, the United States does much better. Okay, we don't need anything that Canada has. We don't need anything that Mexico has, but they need everything that we have. And they have to treat us better. You know, with Mexico and Canada, we have trade deficits. We should have surpluses with them. We don't need their cars. We don't need their lumber. We don't need their energy. We don't need anything that they have. So the primary thing that I got, it was a much better deal than NAFTA. Much, much better. It was sort of a good deal. But it was a great deal for one reason. It gave the right to terminate. And who would have thought that I was, they just didn't want to have it during the 4-year period when I was president. So now it made it so that I wouldn't be president. And because they rigged the election, the second election, as you probably hear and probably know, most of you know that happened in Now it's been proven, and it will be proven as time goes by even more so. We have things that you won't believe. When we release the full files, you're not gonna believe how crooked the 2020 election was, but who would have thought that it comes due in my term? I mean, this was, thank you very much. So, it was very important that we be able to do that. So we're talking to them. We'll see if we do something.
Before we came in here, you posted about Bill Pulte and he starting his job early. You said he's gonna be downsizing the Can you talk about your
Well, yeah,
thinking
people
there?
have wanted that downsized for a long time. Many people don't want it at all. You know, a lot of people thought it was a duplication. Yeah, a lot of people thought it was a duplication. He's done a great job at Fannie Mae. And, you know, you take Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, the value of that has increased so much since I've been in charge. You know, I had the right to sell that. And in my first term, a group came to see me wanting to buy it. And they offered me exactly 10% of what it's worth today. And I didn't want to do it because I didn't want to look foolish when they flipped it a year later for hundreds of billions of dollars more. So I kept it. And I put him in charge as soon as I got here. And he's done an amazing job. Could be worth $1 trillion.
It's a pretty different portfolio though.
Well, it is, I know, but you know, smart people are smart people. I always say I'd rather have smart than experience, but experience is good too. I would say this, he's gonna be there for a short while we pick somebody else. We're interviewing 5 different people, they're all very good, very different, and we'll put somebody there, but people want it downsized. The senators and the Congress people, I think everybody wants it downsized, and many people, I think, and I won't speak for Todd, but and I'm not sure how Todd feels it, but by the way, he's great. I hope you people have given him an easy run because he's very busy. He doesn't need stupid people saying, why didn't you get a higher mark at a certain college? Because he's highly educated. He was a great student. He's great at everything he's done. But how come he got a B plus? See, they'll go after him for getting a B plus instead of an A, but the other guy can be a thug. And let him run. He's okay. He's fine. The one thing about him, it's great. Because every time they bring something up, he's worse than anybody that we've ever seen. And I hope the Republicans are going to use him as your standard bearer. When they say that, gee, you know, Eric, we don't like the way you dress today. It's unacceptable, right? And then all you have to do is point to this thug that they're trying to put in. So, pretty much that's the way it is. He's gonna do a good job. He's gonna be there for a very short period of time. He will be superseded and replaced by somebody that's gonna have the job permanently. Okay?
What do you think the Democrats say they'll hold up the
I don't know what they say. The Democrats, they're not Democrats, they're Democrats. They're dumb people, yeah. Then I guess something's gonna happen. Now, we can't let them extort us. I told the guys today, we can't let them. They've done it on numerous occasions. I said, we can't. What we're signing today has been amazing, but they tried to extort us. And eventually, and they were losing tremendous support because they're extorting on law and order. And they can't win on law and order. People want law and order. They don't want crime. And that's essentially what they were doing. And ultimately, they could not take the heat. But we can't let them extort.
President, it's so small.
What's the World Cup? Yeah, soccer World Cup. Most successful World Cup they've ever had. They've never sold tickets at that level. They've never sold that many tickets so quickly. It's amazing because you don't think of soccer. We use the word football, soccer, right? But you don't think of soccer in this country. It's the most successful. I spoke to Johnny this morning. He's fantastic, and he's the boss. He said there's never been anything close to what's happened.
But because of the success, some people are afraid that it's going to be harder and harder to get visas to come from outside.
Well, we're working on it very closely to make sure the right people come into our country. I will.
Are you concerned, Mr. President, about the latest inflation number which came out this morning? Could that be a
No,
headwind?
I love it. The numbers were great. You know what I really love? I love the inflation. You know why? Because as soon as this war is over, you know, I can see it now. Something you didn't know. Do you know we've been taking out millions of barrels of oil? Nobody knows it. You know who doesn't know about it? Iran until right now. We took out the other night 22 ships late at night with no lights, because they don't have any radar, because we blasted the crap out of it. We took out, that's why oil's $85 a barrel. I mean, you take a look. Remember when I did this, I said, look, the one bad thing will be, we hit the best economy we've ever had. And I said to my people, I had Scott, I had Howard, I had Pete, I had all, I had Todd in the room. I said, the one thing we have to do now, we had just hit the highest stock market in history, highest 401ks in history. Everything was going well. And I said, I hate to do this to you guys, but Iran's going to have a nuclear weapon very soon. We have to go and attack. So we hit them with the B-2 bombs. It took a lot of courage. It was totally successful. We buried it, very hard to get. But now we had to make the second move. And I said, you know, the bad part is the stock market will go down by a lot based on predictions of experts, like 25%. And it was worth it. To me, it was worth it not to have a nuclear weapon. And the other thing is that oil would go to $250 a barrel. It's at 85. And which is pretty amazing. And here's the key. We just hit today another stock market high. 74 in my short time here, 74 days we hit stock market all-time historical highs. Nobody can believe it. The Dow, the S&P. S&P was at 7,000. They said in 4 years, maybe 5 years. It will never hit it during the term. It was too much. I hit it in my first year. I hit on the Dow, it was 50,000 was an impossible number. They said 5, 6 years out you'd hit. Well, I hit it in my first year. And now I get everyone in the room and say, congratulations, but now I'm gonna take it down a little bit because we cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon. And they all agreed with me, Todd, you remember. Everybody agreed. And we took a little journey down to Iran. We first stopped off at Venezuela, by the way. And we have paid for that war many, many times over. And we have great relationships with the people of Venezuela. We get along with them great. It was a great success. It was a one-day war. It was really, to be exact, 48 minutes of fury. And it was over. And Venezuela is doing great. Relationships with the people are great. It's become a happy country, believe it or not. I mean, it's become a happy country. And we're taking out millions of barrels of oil from Venezuela. And then we went to Iran. And essentially, we've done the same thing. It doesn't look as pretty, but there's no Navy. 159 ships at the bottom of the sea. There's no Air Force. All of their planes are blown up. Most of their drones are gone. Most of their drone making ability is gone. Most of their missiles are gone. All of their leadership is gone. So they replaced it. All of that leadership is gone. So they replaced it. And that's the people we're dealing with now. And I think they're going to want to make a deal, but we're going to find out.
Inflation to come down between now and November.
When the war's over,
Yes.
it's coming down.
I know you can't.
It's going to come down like a rock. And again, we're taking out millions, which I'm just announcing today for the first time. But we've been taking out millions of barrels of oil. Millions of barrels. Every night, took out oil. Now I'm gonna tell you because they just figured it out. So now that they figured it out, I can tell you. It was very hard for me. I wanted to say it so bad, I didn't want to ruin it, but it was very hard. But millions of barrels of oil has come out. And that's why it's at $85, $90 a barrel instead of 250. But we have the greatest military in the world, the toughest military in the world, just the best in every way. Nobody even close. There's no military that's even close. I rebuilt it during my first term. I'm using it now. When this conflict is over, Todd said, please go to conflict, right? As opposed to, he didn't like that word war, but it's sort of a conflict. It's a military operation. When it's over, you will see oil drop to where it was before. We're getting gasoline. Just before it started, I was in Iowa, and we passed gas stations $1.85 a gallon. And we'll be back at those levels very soon. Thank you very much, everybody.
Wow. They got great prices in Iowa, $1.85. Wow, that's incredible. But Trump is talking a lot about how the stock market is doing great and things like that. But the thing about it is that most Americans do not invest in the stock market. So it sounds great for people who are involved, but regular Americans, they look at what's in the refrigerator, they look at the inflation, they look at gas prices and healthcare and things like that. So a lot of that needs to trickle down to the people. So he said that he's just announcing that they have taken millions of barrels of oil or whatever. So hopefully we will see the effects of that hitting the pumps, because people have to decide now whether they're going to eat or they're going to put gas in the food tank. I mean, in the fuel tank, because it's like you're going to go to work and you have gas barely to get there, but now your lunch money has to be put in your gas tank because it's cost so much to travel back and forth to work. The expense has increased, along with some people pay tolls to go to work. They have to cross bridges. They're on the road for 30, 40 minutes getting to their job and things like that. That's how people travel. That's how I've always traveled to work. It's like a 40-minute drive, things like that. So it adds up when you have to drive a short distance or a far distance. Some people drive an hour or two to get to work, back and forth to work every day. So I think that until people can feel it in their pockets, that's when people are going to say, oh, we're doing better, because Trump said when he came into office that he was going to bring down prices and people are going to hold that over his head on day one. And what has happened is that everything has gone up, but that's with every administration. It's not just him. Like when he came into office, interest rates were high, inflation was high, everything was out of sorts. People were complaining about egg prices, which he brings up constantly. So it wasn't like he inherited a great, like inflation was great, interest was great, great economy. He didn't. But since then, things have happened, and our national debt has increased like 2 more trillion because of the debt that was already owed. When he came into office, it was 37 trillion. Now it's like 39 trillion. That continues to rise because of interest rate alone is going to have that, the price, the debt goes up. But then he said that we're supposed to be getting like $15 trillion worth of jobs coming in. That's what Japan owes. Japan is the only other country close to the United States that has a deficit like we do, but they have half of what we have. The rest of the world don't have the debt that the United States have. So it's kind of crazy how we're going to bring down this debt. And every which way they try, firing people from federal jobs is not going to bring down the debt. That's not going to do it. So, but bringing these companies in that allow them to open up businesses here to hire Americans instead of buying everything from overseas, I think that will help. But as that come in, you got AI coming in. So in a few years, you're going to have AI cutting most of the jobs we have now, especially in customer service. You have to trick your freaking AI to talk to a human. You got to constantly ask to speak to a human. AI, like, well, maybe I can help. You got to jump through hoops to get a human on the line because they want AI to even take over customer service. You go to the movies, they got kiosk machines. They don't have human workers here. So it's a lot of, and now they got self checkouts in your markets. Those are jobs. Every time you see self this and self that, self payment in department stores, you can go in Five Below. You can check out. It's like you're working for the company and you're not getting paid. They were paying people, giving them benefits for the jobs you're doing. Now, when you go to the market or to some of these stores and you're not on the clock. So whatever jobs that are achieved through Trump's administration, I think that it's going to still come back to bite us because of AI. AI is going to take a lot of jobs. They're going to probably take away now, like when you go to college, like a lot of students, the professors got to tell them not to use AI or use Chat GPT or even Grammarly, because you're not learning how to write, correct sentences and things like that, because people that's going to school for higher education are using the tools for their assignments. So when they have finals that they need to do midterms and all that, they're having AI, chat, or any search engines to do the work that they're supposed to do. So it's a lot of stuff that's going on that's hindering our students, and our students are coming out of high school unable to read. You got students that can't even read right now. So it's a lot of things like we have ahead of us that we got to look at, like the job market and things like that, that I don't think people understand that we're going to be crushing um with getting jobs in a few years, that it's going to be like the only jobs you're going to be able to get are jobs that perhaps AI or robot can't do, whereas they can replace teachers. They can replace like all customer service, because that's what they're doing now. All these companies, and then if the companies in the United States, if they're not using AI to answer the phone, when they're sending your transferring your calls overseas. When I was talking yesterday, I was calling, I forget what I was calling about, but anyway, I had to, oh, it was about my internet. I said, well, what country are you from? Oh, I'm from China. I'm from somewhere else. I'm from India. Like even a lot of the humans, like per se in the United States, they're not even hiring Americans to do the jobs of customer service. They're redirecting the calls to another country. So the jobs here in the United States, they're going to spiral down, because they even the jobs that are not using AI, they're using redirecting the customer service to other countries to answer the phones, because they can pay them a lower wages than what they're paying that they would pay someone from the United States. So I think that we're going to be heading into that next administration, whoever becomes president, that's running with either party, that we're going to run into a dilemma. I think jobs, the economy, inflation, and we don't know how soon, or will this war, Iranian war, be over by 2028? Because they keep on acting like Iran, like they're fighting United States and Israel, and they're still hanging in there, and they're still controlling the Strait of Hormuz, and all of this is like, how long do you perceive this war to go on? Because Trump is saying, look, now because there's still the fighting started up again, there's supposed to be a ceasefire. That Trump said, look, he's gonna let them have it, but what does that mean? You know, they said the leadership is gone, the regime is gone, all that they don't have the weapons. We went in and we took their oil. We're doing all this, but they are still fighting. So it's like, and who's supporting them? Is Russia supporting them? Like, who's supporting them? Is China supporting them? They're still getting support from other countries, other United States. That's why they're hanging in there. So I don't know. We got a lot to look at. Will the Iran war end this year? 33% say yes, 67% say no. So most people, like Trump said, that he wants this done. He wants this war over with. He's talking about in 2 weeks. So that's why I did propose the question, because Trump said the war going to end in 2 weeks. So I don't think the war is going to end in 2 weeks. I don't think it's as simple as that. I don't think that we're close to ending this war. But if you go to your supermarkets, you look at the prices, I see the shelves they're not bare, but they're emptying out, because the goods aren't coming in like they were. So they are trying to set it up in the supermarket so it's not alarming to everyday Americans. They go in, they're not paying attention. I'm paying attention to things like that. I can see when they're trying to make the shelves look full by lining up, going across one line of that product, but it's not going back to the back. They give the illusion like the food is there, or it's just empty shelves. Period. And I'm talking about major markets. So I see things are going on, and I think if this war continues, that we're going to be in a crunch sooner than later. So no matter how well the stock market is doing, and Bitcoin keeps diving, because they were saying, of course, that's supposed to take off, but it's not taking off like I guess people expected it to, because a lot of us have invested in Bitcoin and those type of currencies, but it's not doing as well as anticipated. But Trump is talking about the stock market. But I don't know, what are we going to do, like, to get ourselves out of what's going on now as far as the Iranian war, because we were sending a lot of money and equipment to Ukraine, and they're bombing Russia. Russia's bombing them. So we got like multiple wars are going on. United States is in a war with Iran along with Israel, and you got the Ukrainian war that's going on between Putin and Zelensky. So there are multiple wars, and it's like we're involved actually in both. Like Ukrainian war, we're involved because we have been the supplier, and the money and equipment that we need ourselves. So if China try to go after Taiwan, I don't know, we done, because we might be the strongest and most powerful country in the world, but to handle all of this going on at the same time, that would be even a lot for United States of America. So I don't know what we're going to do in the future, but I think like what the president has to realize is that he has to bring the country together. He can't he doesn't like what he says, the left says, the Democratic Party, but he's still the president of the Democratic Party. And it's like we have a two government country. It's like the left and the right, when it's supposed to be one nation under God. And as long as we're divided, how are we going to continue to be the strongest nation in the world when we don't agree about anything? And we're upset about everything. But I want our elected officials to be responsible for our needs, to be responsible for our economy, to pay attention on the needs of Americans, and not stop focusing so much on outside of this country, and focus on the Americans that have elected people into these offices to do what they say they were going to do for the American people. It's like that's like pulling teeth. We cannot get them to keep their promises when it comes to us. That's all I ask. We want to keep promises to the rest of the world. We want to keep promises to non-citizens. We want to keep promises to everyone. But when it comes to us, it's like there's no conversation. But they want our votes, and they want to get elected to these offices, but we're the last on the list for them to even have a conversation with. And that needs to change. So 2028 is going to be interesting of who's going to follow Trump into office, whether it's a Democrat or whether there's a Republican, because all this stuff that's going on right now, it's a lot. It's a lot. And whoever's going to be the next president, I think they're going to be handled a tall job to do. That it's not going to be, they're going to come into a great economy, inflation great. They're going to come into an AI era. More jobs are going to be lost. Elon is working on that diligently. China's working on it diligently. Everybody's working on, AI robots and stuff doing the works of humans. So I think that we're going to be into a rude awakening when you used to get such and such jobs. I went into McDonald's. I was in Washington, and when I went into the McDonald's, my daughter graduated with her master 4.0 average from Howard University. We went into the McDonald's, and it was we was waiting for our we wasn't going to eat, y'all. But anyway, when we went in there, they had the kiosks. They didn't have any humans taking orders. I was shocked. They if you want to get a beverage or whatever you want to get, you had to order through the kiosk. No, there was no one there to take orders. You had to use the kiosk, and it was packed because everybody was letting out, and people would use the restrooms. And when they had a graduation, you had all the schools together, so you couldn't get into the school to use the laboratories. So a lot of people was flocking like we did too, because the closest restaurant was happened to be McDonald's that was right there. But that's the first time I went to McDonald's, and there were no humans taking the orders. You had to use the kiosk. And then they had one guy with 50 million people in there, and he was running around with the orders, trying to bring the orders to the front and calling out the number or whatever for the order. So that was even in McDonald's. Went to the movies. 3 people standing there wanted to pay for my ticket. They looked at me and say, I was going to do it on my app. I had it up. I said, no, I'll just pay because I was at another meeting. I was running late, so I didn't want to pre-buy the ticket. So I said, okay, I'll just get it when we get to the movies. when we got to the movie theater, they said, "Oh, did you already prepay for your ticket?" I was like, "No." I said, "I'm just gonna pay for it here." And I said, "I'm trying to give them my card." They're like, "Oh no, you gotta use the kiosk." So I had to go out the lobby into the foyer where the kiosk machines were, and that's the only way you could buy a ticket. But they had 3 people standing there. So this is what I'm just giving an example of everyday things people do, like go to the movies and go to McDonald's and things like that. And there were no humans that were taking orders. Nobody's working the cash register. And that's what's ahead of us. So if this is 2026, my prediction by 2028, you're going to have so many businesses that you're accustomed to going to, and you're going to have to use kiosks, to assist you. They're getting rid of more and more jobs, and it's going to show. So that employment rate is going to continue to plunder down. It's going to go down even more, and you're going to have more people needing SNAP, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, assistance, food banks. You're going to have more people that's going to be in need than ever before. Not that they don't want to work. You're going to have so many jobs that are going to be eliminated that people say, even with lower education, whatever, they were used to getting those jobs, even though they paid lesser than most jobs, but they still put food on their table, still kept a roof over their head, even if they had to work multiple jobs. But those jobs are going to disappear, you guys. You're going to have more people living out on the street. You already have Americans that are living in their cars. That's not, somehow the news media never talks about that. How many Americans are living in cars? How many Americans are now living in hotels? How many Americans are living in RVs? How many Americans are living in vans? How many Americans are living on the streets? Maybe I'll do a show on that, because I want to get away from this, because YouTube somehow they're not sending viewers. This is channel just getting hundreds of thousands of people, but I got to see what's going on. But meanwhile, I think I need to do maybe a show on that no one, and none of these reporters, none of these from NBC, CBS, all these news outlets, nobody's doing on what's happening to Americans. They are on the streets. And more people are going to hit the streets, because without those other jobs, they're not going to be able to afford to even live in their car. And then when you live in cars and stuff like that, you can't stay in the same place. They need gas, and gas is so high, but they got to constantly move, because you can't stay in one location more than a day. They go to like Walmart's, they say, Cracker Barrel, because I watch some YouTubers that live that lifestyle, and they're young people. They are young people that's doing it. I'm talking about young people that are living that life. And I see that that's going to probably double within another year, and nobody's addressing what's really happening. People can't afford homes. You know what the interest rate is right now to get a home, and what it costs to maintain a home? You got to pay your sewer bill, electric. I think I got 2 sewer bills. You got to pay electric, gas, water. You got to pay so many different bills. And a lot of people, if you don't have a well-paying job, you can't afford, living expenses to even have a house. It costs a lot to own a home. You got to maintain the grounds. I have people that come cut the grass, got a huge backyard, got a front yard, got all that. You got to maintain what God gives you. What God, wherever God gives you, you got to maintain all of it. You have to take care of it. And a lot of things have maintenance. There's always stuff to do with a home. Always repairs. Always something needs to be done. It's like never ending. Something needs to be done when you own a home. So that's a constantly remodeling kitchens, bathrooms, constantly painting, constantly doing everything. Just have my deck redone again. It's like it's a constant porch redone. Everything is a constant. You're constantly having to, need things done for your home. So I don't know in 2028 what's happening to jobs now. What does our future look like? Liberal women are the death of American values and morals. Socialites and communists are all they are. Yeah, I think that people are so busy fighting themselves and they're not like when I hear Trump say America first, I know I don't probably take it like when I think of America first, I think about taking care of Americans first, literally what it says. Take care of us. We have given to the world. The Bank of America is closed right now. We've given to everyone, but nobody comes to rescue us. Nobody's giving to us. And this country, even with its citizens, have put the needs of others before the citizens of this country. These are facts. These are facts. And you got people fighting more for the rights of non-citizens than for the rights of the people that are born here in this country that are citizens of this country. And I find that disturbing. Like they don't fight for any rights for Americans, and we're electing people to make it better for us. Because guess who want to live the American dream? Americans. People come from all over and say, yeah, we want to live the American dream. You got Americans can't get loans from banks. You got Americans that's still trying to achieve that don't have the same opportunities, if you can believe it or not. It's true. It's true. And people come say, oh, well, they just don't want to work. Americans are lazy. That's a lie from hell. That is a lie. Americans aren't lazy, and Americans do work. Americans have built this country, and people get to come here and enjoy it. Then tell us that we don't want to work when you just got here. You didn't build this. You haven't been here for hundreds of years. And they want to tell us about America and even the rights that a lot of people have to come in here is because of the Civil Rights Bill. And you can thank a Black American for that. That's how Chinese people, Latinos, indigenous, Indian people, all of them were able to come into this country because of the Civil Rights Bill. So it's a lot, but we got a country that cares more about everyone else. That's how some families, like, they care more about other people than your own family. People got families like that. So when that part of the family, if they need help, they break their neck to help somebody. But your family member need help and they struggling, it's like a pin could drop. That's how some families are. But we got to get wise and recognize what's really happening inside of this country instead of trying to fight each other over what party. And guess what? Whoever is president, whether there's a Democrat president or Republican president, they need to understand you're the president of all Americans. And somehow that seems to escape them or it's going over their head. You're the president of all Americans. And even though Trump, like, he's a real estate guy, he loves all the grandeur, I understand where he's coming from. He wants people to come on, he wants to be proud of this country. He wants to have the admiration that's given to him when he visits other countries. To him, when we stand next to them, we look like we the little kid on the block. We don't measure up to grandeur when you compare us to Saudi Arabia, England, all the other countries. When he goes there, it's like, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. So he wants us to be proud, but more than that, we need a better economy. We need to work together. We need to put Americans first. There's too many Americans that's not provided housing, that are living on the streets. There's not provided health care. They're not provided the things that we give freely to other people. And something is wrong with that because they use my taxpayer dollars, your taxpayer dollars, to support the world. And I have a problem when you're not supporting our vets. I have a problem when you're not supporting the very people that this country belongs to. There's a problem with that. And then you have people that don't even want you to talk about supporting Americans when we're Americans. Isn't that crazy? Unbelievable. Americans, you give nothing. You give it all to me. Forget y'all. Forget y'all. It's all about me. People not even giving us that respect. So We need to think about one another and help one another. And we need to make sure our government is doing what we elected them to do. We voted for them. We put them in office. We didn't put them in office for the world. We put them in office to do right by us. Period. Immigrants come to USA legally. These people now are illegal aliens who have no rights. Yeah. Yeah, and this is not about, there's a process. Anybody can apply for citizenship. United States, it's like when you talk about like illegals or non-citizens, it feels like people take it as an attack. It's not an attack. It's the law. It's the law. It's not an attack. Everybody can apply for citizenship. They can get their green card. You can apply. You can get your citizenship of naturalization. You can get these things. The United States welcome it, and guess what? When you have to earn something, then they respect the country more. But when you people don't have to earn anything. That's why there's a lack of respect. Like, gimme, I'm gonna do what I want to do. I don't have to follow your laws. They don't just cross the border not following the laws. They have the attitude of all our laws. They feel like they don't have to follow. Ask New York. So it ricochets and it starts a lot of other unlawful things when there's lawlessness. So that's why laws are important. And we have to follow the laws, and so do anybody else who enter our country. They need to follow the laws. Even if you came in here illegally, at least once you get here, follow the laws. But that's not always happening. That's not happening. That's why you have ICE going into these prisons before they hit the streets, and they're trying to get them so they don't hit the street after they came here and committed crimes. You know, so it's like, what laws we're going to pick and choose what laws to follow. I guess that's what's going on now. So anyway, I just want to see more from our elected officials. Don't forget to hit the like, share, subscribe to Speak the Truth 2.0. And everybody should, Ice Bay. Everyone should expect more from our leadership. Everyone should expect more. If you're an American, for God's sakes, if you were living in China, China's not going to put you first, and you're American, or Australia, or Russia, or the continent of Africa, or anywhere in Europe, or nowhere else are you going to go and take precedence over their or the UK and take precedence over their citizens. So why is that happening here? Why is that happening here? That people who aren't citizens, they take precedence over Americans. Why is that happening here? We got a whole freaking divided country right now, and it shouldn't be like that. The one thing we should have in common is that we want a better economy. We want fair wages. We want better interest rates. Like, those are the things. We want better health care, affordable health care. Those are the things that we should agree upon, and we still fight. And that doesn't make any sense. Why don't we have a campaign to help Americans to get them off the streets? We help everybody else. How come we never put that? I found out, I didn't know we could help it. If we got 14 million people come in and get on our welfare, because if you came in with the clothes in your back with no money, you were on welfare. Okay? Period. You was on welfare. You didn't come in with health care. You didn't have your own health care. You didn't have your own schools. You didn't have your own housing. You didn't have your own food. You didn't have cash. You got all that from us on welfare. But we didn't take that money and we didn't do it for Americans who are still on the street right now. Explain to me why we could do it for everyone else and millions of people, and we still have Americans that are picking food from the trash, living on the streets, have no help, have no future. So I just want people to come into office that are going to look at the needs of the citizens that are electing them into office. And that's not negating from helping everyone else. That's saying include us. Include us. Is that too much to ask? Include us. Because right now, it's not a focus, it's not a talking point, it's nothing. When the last time your congressman went into one of our prisons to see how our prisoners were faring? Were their rights being violated? Why are men being raped in jail? Isn't that a crime? Why are people being violated in prison? Why are the conditions less? They're less than desirable. But we'll run to ICE detainment center and we'll cry bloody murder because they don't have air conditioning. I'm tired of injustice done to our own people. How come these politicians, when the last time any of them have visited any prison? You know how many people are killed and violated? And those are supposed to be crimes. They're still crimes. And they're already in jail for the crimes that they already have done. 10K a month, not because you came to the country illegal. Yeah, right, Endure. I'm trying. And I think I lost a lot of viewership because the more truth I speak and the more I focus on what's right, people don't like that. They simply don't like that. But I have to be true to who I am. And God will build it back up. If this is what he wants, then this is where I'll go. But the truth has to be spoken. We have to do better by the people that are already here. And go into any American city and see who's on the streets. Go see all Americans, see how many Americans are living on the street with no hope. You can be on the street a few days and look homeless. You'll start smelling soon. Your clothes will be filthy. Where are you gonna go to the bathroom? Nobody gonna let you go to the restaurant in their bathrooms and stuff. Like where you gonna and then even being homeless, you got to fear for your life of being beaten up. You have nothing to steal, and people still want to beat you up and steal from you. It's crazy, but that's what they deal with. So I had thought at one time that this country couldn't help the homeless. So when I would see them and they need shoes, you buy them. You don't say, "Oh, good luck, hope you do better." They got to eat every day. People say, "Well, they're gonna buy liquor or something with it." I guess if you live on the street every day, you probably want to be high too, buy some liquor. That's hard life. But they got to eat. They got to eat every day. I try to get in hotels. You can't just get them in hotels and stuff like that because establishments won't allow it. So we got to do so much better than what we're doing right now. And so when I think of America first, that's how I see it. I see that we're not doing enough. We're not helping enough. And now I realize that we can do better. And we can do it for over 14 million people. I'm quite sure we could do it for the homeless Americans that's in these cities. Go to every city, go all over, and a lot of them die on the streets. They live in conditions that get cold in the winter. They die. They scared to go any kind of shelter because those shelters don't protect them. They scared for their lives in it, and they hire some security, take some out money, put some damn security in there. It's a lot that's going on. If they have shoes, they got to worry about they go to sleep. Their shoes are gone. Their clothing, their little belongings are gone. It's a hard life like that. Nobody wants to live like that. So there's a lot we have to do. And then they don't have the health care and stuff. They have nothing. They don't have food benefits. They're on the streets. They don't have an address. So, maybe the churches are helping them. And some of these churches need to do more than what they're doing. They claim they're doing stuff, but they focus on the rest of the world. They need to focus some of that charity right here at home because it's too many Americans that are living on the streets and in cars that are homeless. And I expect it's going to double. It's going to double. Your little towns you're going to start seeing more people that Bob that was down the street don't have a job now, can't get a job, and lost his house, and lost his car, and lost his family, and lost everything. Not that he doesn't want to work, but he can't get a job because even a fast food job that you used to probably get like that, you got AI gonna be doing all that. They're using kiosks. They're not even using people. So I don't know, you guys. So tell me what you think about in the chat. What direction do you see this country going in? I had a lot of hope coming into Trump's presidency. I did. I said, wow, the last presidency with Biden, you open those borders, and I ran and campaigned hard for him. I did not campaign for freaking open borders. I had no idea that was the plan. That was the agenda. So then we got this problem, and then Trump come into office. Okay, good. Finally closed the borders. The borders needed to have been closed. This country couldn't afford any more open borders for people to come in. We couldn't afford it. The money isn't there, to take care of them. The money isn't there. We're not taking care of our own. So I was happy when he came and the borders are closed. It seemed like we were getting on the right track. People were skeptical about Trump because he was unpredictable, where they didn't care about Biden. They were laughing at Biden. They saw his interviews. They saw that he wasn't there. He was suffering from dementia or something, and everybody saw it. And I thought that he was really going to make a difference for all of us. And then I started seeing Elon, like he got elected, shadowing Trump, influencing Trump. Then I started seeing the Stephen Millers. He was in his last term in 2016, but now he has he writes all the speeches. He's like speaking for Trump. I mean, this guy he's racist. He's seriously racist. And things start going a different direction. Then we start having, states and stuff not cooperating with ICE, not even allowing them to arrest criminals. They didn't want them to arrest criminals. And they were saying, well, let us get them for the prisons. This way we don't have to go in the neighborhoods. No, they didn't want that. They wanted nobody to be arrested, regardless whether they were raping kids, molesting kids, killing people. They want them all to be free. That was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. That was crazy. So we went through that. Americans losing their lives, fighting for, they didn't think that they would lose their lives. Carol and Petty or something like his name. So it started in Venezuela, the invasion of that, capturing, the president Maduro and his wife that are here in the United States. And it's just a lot. And then, we were looking at it came in, it was a Ukrainian, and we were looking for that war to end between Ukraine and Russia that's still going on as we speak today. And now Israel and United States are fighting Iran. So it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot that's been going on. So I just hope things get better for all of us, for everybody, all of us. I just hope things get better, but I don't know, you guys. Yes, he did. He did so much for open borders theory. Yeah, he did close the borders, y'all. Yeah, well, those borders need to be closed. There's no way that we could financially survive as a country with, at that time, $37 trillion in debt. Nobody comes close to the debt the United States have, and that's from helping the world. But the world's not here to help us. And now they felt like getting rid of jobs, federal jobs, was going to solve the problem, which you just lowered the job market. People lost living wage jobs. That didn't help at all. But then racism was involved. It's a lot that's still going on in this country that needs to be settled by Americans. So we got all these issues that are going on all at once. So all I know is summertime is coming, and You know, we need to do something so people can have better lives. People can travel. Like, I don't know how many parents are going to be able to take their children on vacations this year, or if they could go anywhere. If they can afford to go, one night out anywhere is astronomical, the cost for a family. Even if you drive there, it's like the hotel stay just to feed people 2 or 3 times a day. You better make sure you get a kitchenette. You're gonna be cooking or something too, because you won't be able to. And then, like, you take them to, say, Disney World, just one day, you're paying $400 or more at a minimum. It's probably way more than that, because I haven't been there in like the last probably 3 years or something like that. But the cost for one family for one day, you got to have a few $1,000s to go to Disney World for 5 days, and that's not going the rides. That's just being in Florida or something, because it's too expensive. Legal versus illegal. How simple truth is. Yeah. Yeah. And see, when people talk about, they try to lump legal together with illegal. Don't lump it together. It's not lumped together. No one is ever talking about legal immigrants. Nobody's talking about it, ever. Nobody's ever talking about that. There's a big difference with the word illegal and legal. There's a big difference. And you go to any country, I want you to push your weight around in another. Go to Russia, push your weight around. And talk about you gonna be there, you illegally, you don't cross state borders. Have a conversation with Putin. And you'll be lucky you leave that country alive. So it's just so amazing how people like behave. There's a big difference between legal. No, you could come in here legally all you want to, but 14 million non-citizens flooding the country in 4 years is unsustainable. Period. It's unsustainable for any country. You're talking about how many gallons and cases of water, more food. That's why they're probably making fake meat right now. When I'm shopping, I'm looking at where can I buy real chicken, real food, real meat. They got all these fake meat products now.
They fully make it look like it's more full food there.
It's a lot of deception going on, you guys, especially at the market. I literally was looking up the other day. So I know, okay, I gotta go to Whole Foods, get smart chicken, get different stuff, because I don't want fake meat made from the lab or whatever they're doing. Because that's 14 million more people. You got a house, clothes, feed, there are no jobs, not working, that our taxpayer dollars went towards. Nobody's gonna come in with nothing with the clothes on their back and be self-supporting. So we got a lot of stuff to do. While then they'll tell our citizens who are still living on the street, there's no money for you. No money for you. No help for you. But we done help 14 million non-citizens come into this country that we didn't know it was happening. I didn't know the game plan, that I helped get Biden elected. And I could put up different pictures with me and the former president taking selfies and everything. My son said I should put up all the stuff in my speech, all the stuff to show how involved I really am or have been. Talking about boots on the ground, canvassing, phone banking, being the leader, not the father. I'm a leader, organizing, activist, advocate. Had no idea that was the grand plan. Didn't know. They have gotten more help. They have gotten more help than our citizens. They have gotten more help. Were our citizens homeless, put in luxury apartments? Were they giving cash benefits, $33,000 a year? Were they giving free education and were in SNAP benefits, food benefits? They're getting $5,000 a month. They was getting thousands of dollars a month just on SNAP. They were getting more help. because they were looking for them to be a new voting bloc. They were being. Why did we open up the borders? Tell me, why were our borders opened up like that? And guess what? We had 2 million gotaways that came in. Venezuela empty out their prisons. We had ISIS. We had terrorists. We had not just them. We had everybody came in. Let's not negate that. They allowed anybody, as many people as possible. And when people start complaining about the borders at the end of Biden's term, they start flying them in. Flying them in. That's what I'm talking. They start flying them in. These are facts. I'm heavily involved in politics. These are facts.
Well, that's why Trump wants voter ID, voter identification, because people were misusing the rules in voting when they aren't legal citizens of America.
You have states that you don't have to show identification. You can just go in and vote. Period. You can go and vote. There are a lot of states like that. You can go in and just vote. You don't have to show ID. Those are facts.
You guys can research this for yourself instead of all saying that, accusing us of lying in the chat. You can just look this up for yourself and do more research into it.
What did they say?
No, someone said that's all they do is lie. All you do is turn on Fox News.
You know what? This is not turning on. You know what? The truth is the truth. I listen to CBS, NBC, Morning Joe, NS Now, Ground News, Twitter, that's now known as X. I listen to everybody. I subscribe to Ground News because it shows the left and the right. I'm not one-dimensional. I'm not Fox News, but I'm gonna speak what's true. You can look it up yourself. Look it up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Just look it up. It doesn't belong to one demographic. Look it up. Nobody got time to be trying to convince people the truth. Either you believe it or you don't. Just lay it down. You don't believe it? Oh, well. But the truth is the truth. It's not going to change the truth, no matter how you spin it. They were not taking care of Americans, or they would be off the streets. How are we letting so many people could take care of them and still aren't taking care of American citizens? You know, we got vets that fought for this goddamn country that are living on the streets, that need mental help because what they went through fighting these wars and the things they saw, that they need help mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, and financially. And we owe that to them. Period. Yeah, so, it's all about doing what's best for all of the citizens. Like any other country, it's about doing what's best for the countrymen. It's about making a better life for the people of the country, the citizens. That we elected these people in the office, but they're gonna have a rude goddamn awakening in 2028. I don't think anything is going to go as people plan. I think that people are tired, regardless if they're Republican. You have Republicans turning Democrats and Democrats turning Republicans. It's like people are all over the place right now. So I think it's going to be a rude awakening in the next election. But people are not just going to vote for anybody. People are looking at people's records. People are not going for the bullshit any longer. People are tired. We don't want to hear, oh, well, I'm going to bring down the cost of play. No, dog, we already been through that. You're not going to do it. Just be honest. How long is it really going to take? How many jobs are really going to come here to America? We're going to, no, we're not going to listen to game any longer.
I'm going to give black people marijuana.
Yeah, I'm going to give all black men, I'm going to make marijuana illegal for you. What? Terrible. Like, that's the goal of black men. Yeah.
Romeo, how about you go to a Snap, some place where you can get EBT and see who's in there for yourself.
What they say?
They're quoting ChatGPT saying, no, undocumented illegal immigrants are generally not eligible for SNAP.
Look at them generally not eligible. Generally, you trying to say that when they crossed that goddamn border for years they weren't getting it? Really? With no job, no money? They came in with nothing, right? With nothing. You try going to another country with nothing. They were that's what you're trying to say? You know how much, look up, you want to do check, look how much was spent on them per year from Biden's administration each year, how many billions of dollars that it took to take care of them. Look that up and use ChatGPT right now. You can take a few. Look how much money that's been spent yearly from Biden's term on yearly. What was spent on them? That because that didn't help us. Because people just say, "Oh, well, they paid that." No, they didn't pay all taxes. See, I had that broken down. Probably another video. That's a misconception there.
Romeo, you're getting confused. You're getting legal immigrants confused with illegal because he's trying to say illegal immigrants are all hard workers. No, you're confusing that with legal immigrants.
They always try to act like, stop talking about they hard workers. Because you try to act like Americans aren't hard workers, but they're hard workers. We're paying for it. We didn't gain more money into our economy because of them taking jobs away from other Americans. Let's be clear. I'm talking about illegal, not legal immigrants. Because they're not lumped together. Legal immigrants means they are American citizens. Period. 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 Legal immigrants are American citizens. Non-illegals, non-citizens are illegal immigrants. Okay? So we're talking about Americans and we're talking about illegals.
Okay, chat, everyone in the chat, how about you write what you either agree with or disagree with us? Because I see the chat doesn't seem to be agreeing with what we're saying. What are we saying that's not true? What's not true? Because you guys keep saying ChatGPT says otherwise and you're misinformed, then tell us what we're saying that's not true.
So so we had all these millions of people came into this country and they came in with houses, clothes, cars, their own school buildings, education, their own benefits, their own health care, their own everything. They came in here already ready to go with everything, right? So that's what you're saying. And then you want to tell us, I'm talking about the last few years. I'm not talking about immigrants that came in here legally or immigrants that came in here that respect this country. The ones that came in a few years ago, they have no respect for this country. They disrespect our police officers. They disrespect our laws. They came in with their own country flags, all of that. They were burning our flags. All this stuff was going on in California.
So two people said, like replying to that, they said undocumented immigrants don't get SNAP benefits. That's a fact. And someone else said illegal immigrants can't vote. They are not new voting bloc.
First of all, so how did they eat when they came into this country if they didn't get SNAP? How did they eat? They had no money, no jobs, no housing. They came in with nothing. So how did they eat? How did they eat? We're talking about millions of people. How did they eat? How did they eat? We're talking about 14 million, at least 14 million people. How did they eat? They came in, like I said, no money, no housing, no clothing, no health care, no nothing. So they did it without nothing, right? See, so when people say that, and then if you really looked at how much money we spent per year for them to be here, you don't think it cost us?
Someone replies to some homeless people do want to be on the streets. Okay, buddy.
The only homeless people that want to be on the street are the ones that need mental health care. They've been on the street so long that they have lost their minds. Literally, people lose their minds on the streets. They've been hurt in these shelters, in these places. They've been beaten up, and their little possessions they do own have been stolen from them. So they know those shelters that they do have aren't safe. They weren't provided luxury apartments and SNAP cards and all that. They're not provided those things, our homeless. They're eating from the trash. They're eating from the streets. They're living on the streets. And people want to fight us when we talk about using our goddamn taxpayer dollars for our own goddamn citizens. This should not be an argument. They still want to focus on people who are illegally into this country. No fault of their own, because the last administration opened up the gates, the borders for them to come in. So this country requested their presence. So, but we're not going to act like that it wasn't at a cost to the American people, because they use our taxpayer dollars to take care of them. So you're not going to take that away from us and then tell us they pulled them, that they work like Americans already were working hard.
So here's Romeo's explanation. He said some illegals do arrive with little or no money, but not all. Many come with savings, family support, or
Get the hell out of here. Stop. 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 They didn't even pay for goddamn transportation to move them from Texas to New York or whatever other blue city, sanctuary city that they could send them to. If they could come in like that, they would have just flown in and stayed. Why are they crossing the goddamn border when they could just fly in and stay? They could just fly in and stay. And go live in a freaking hotel or a house. Why they going through Mexico and different places where people, the cartel and stuff was killing them and holding them for ransom and raping the women, and they're going through all that to come here. This is not bubbling. We talking about reality. A lot of them died trying to get here. And then once they got here, the cartel had it so that they had to pay them a certain amount of money. Even once they got here, they had to work for them. Unbelievable. There's a lot of stuff that goes on. And there's nothing wrong with this country. It's totally, we're talking more about them than about Americans. And I'm going to get off of that. I'm talking about Americans. Is that okay that we talk about our country? About our needs? About supporting our citizens by using our taxpayer dollars for our vets who fought for our country? And a lot of them are not the same. They lost limbs. They friends have lost their lives. They didn't see people blown up. Or so many things have happened to them.
No, Mom, this is a topic I see needs to be discussed more, because people still have this belief that illegal immigrants are almost a thing that we have to take care of when they're not even citizens of this country. And this needs to be explained more, because
how you going to neglect the citizens?
Yeah.
I don't get that. It's like even the non-citizens want you to prioritize them, and they say F Americans. Forget about taking care, use your taxpayer dollars to take care of our vets and our homeless. They don't even have the decency to say, you know what, y'all should be taking care of y'all citizens too. Where I came from, my country, the country I came from, this wouldn't happen.
Well, if you actually,
we take care of our citizens.
Well, if you actually read the Bible, there's a verse that says you're supposed to respect those in authority over you.
It's like these people is trying to prove a point. Like, so you're supposed to neglect the citizens of this country by your standards. You're not supposed to take care of your own family. And don't hand me Bible Don't hand me Bible. I know more Bible than you do. You're supposed to take care of your family. You're supposed to be a giver, which the United States have proven to have been a giver to. We got $39 trillion worth of debt. And meanwhile, we still neglect to take care of our citizens. So why are Americans on the streets? Why aren't our elected officials helping Americans to get off the street? Why aren't we providing our taxpayer dollars to take care of our citizens? Why does it belong to you? And then you want to tell us like we're not even supposed to think about ourselves.
And all the gangs that came in because of that.
All great people did not enter this country.
Yeah.
And everybody knows that. And you could tell from the people that have entered, they so self-centered and selfish, they don't even have the decency to say, you know what, America did do right by us. They did give us these things coming because we came in with nothing, but they should, meanwhile, take care of their citizens as well. How about as well? They should take care of their citizens as well.
Dang, Romeo's going to bat to defend illegal immigrants.
Because he is one. He is one. No American is going to see nothing wrong with taking care of what America. You're saying Americans are supposed to be left out of the equation? And it's our money? That's a lie from hell. And that's what happened with the people that just came in now. The people just came in now feel like that they're entitled. They got this entitlement. Entitlement. I'm not talking about people that were here 30 years ago. I'm talking about the people that came in now. It's a different entitlement that's going on. They don't even think Americans should be talking about Americans.
Romeo, don't get it twisted. This is a very successful family. Don't get it twisted.
We're extremely successful.
Yeah,
all our family members. We all own single homes. We all drive luxury cars. We're all without debt. We are all educated with degree after degree after degree, from master, PhD, everything. My mother has her PhD. All of us have degrees.
Like, not to flex, but I made $200,000 at 16.
My son at 16 was making 6 figures doing affiliate marketing. My kids got 3 degrees. My daughter got 2 degrees. Just got her master's. All of us. My whole freaking family. Not just my immediate, my extended family. All of us. None of us have never barely made it. None of us have been on welfare. None of us are struggling. None of us. My whole entire family is successful. All of us. And well educated.
Don't stereotype.
All of us. We're not that family. Oh, they finally made it to college. I'm the first one. No, we're like a line of 1,000 of authors, doctors, and lawyers, and Indian chiefs. Everybody.
Hey, no, that's something I could consider. Got a beautiful girl to do it with.
So it's a lot that's going on right now for all of us. And we want our citizens to be taken care of. No vet and no citizen. You got young people living in cars, in vans, no health care. It don't go by age whether you get sick or not, because of all this food processing and all this bad stuff that people eat. You got people of all ages with diabetes and heart conditions, high blood pressure, all these things.
Not to cut you off, but that's something else that they're also taking over the hospitals.
Yeah.
That now the hospitals is full of people not from this country, or people that aren't citizens of this country. What do you think of that?
That what?
That the hospitals are now full of people not.
Yeah. You go to emergency one, see who's in there.
Yeah.
I didn't know what was going on.
Now hospitals be packed out.
You know, all these wannabe front people, they're not even real. They're not even real at all. You know, but when I'm on here, I'm not talking about my own, how God has provided for me. I'm talking about the people that need provision. I'm fighting for people that have rights that are being ignored. I'm fighting for people that don't have a voice. I'm an activist. I advocate for people that are less fortunate. So while we take care of others, I'm not going to neglect our own citizens. That's crazy. I'm not going to neglect us challenging, sending some of that money to our own people that are in need.
Romeo, it looks like you just want to be a troll. Honestly, now you're saying you want to get banned. It just looks like you want to be.
It doesn't matter. You know what? You can't come on here. It's 10 toes down. Obviously, you're an older person that's immature, and you can't handle the truth. It's like when you feel as though somebody's not going along, that's in a disagreement with you, then you feel as though that's a threat against you or something against you personally, because you rather stay in bubble land. Nobody cares whether you believe or not. Nobody's trying to change your mind, but you will never be able to change the truth of what's going on. This show is called Speak the Truth 2.0 for a reason. And the reason is because we got to live up. See, when you speak stuff, I'm speaking in existence. We have no choice but to speak the truth. And not saying that we're always right, because nobody is perfect.
If you got some check thinks Romeo's right, how about you go watch his streams that maybe he'll do instead of this stream? If you all agree with Romeo and he's spitting facts, seeing multiple people saying he's right and he's true, then go watch him. Watch Romeo.
He's right about what? Before you sell the right about what? Right about what? Well, anyway, I'm taking too much time on this because, you know, the only person I answer to is God. I don't answer to man. Y'all answer to whatever dude on there that you want to answer to, and y'all can make him your God and believe what he's saying or whatever. I really don't care. If it offends you to say that Americans should help Americans, then you're not American.
Hey, no, my girls say the same.
Obviously, you're not American. If you got a problem with us speaking up for Americans, then you're not American. Because that would make sense for American. That's why I know you're not American. Because how would that make sense for American to go against speaking up for American citizens that are homeless? How would that make sense? So that's why I know that you're not from this country. Because that doesn't make sense. So we have people who are non-citizens on here focus on themselves, because it makes no sense to fight someone that's from the United States that's talking about American citizens. Like, who would be against, when you're American, be against American citizens from receiving help? The same help we offer to everyone else around the world. So that's why I know you're not from this country, and it's okay. This channel goes out to the world, and everybody watches this channel from around the world. But it tells me who you are when you want to fight against something that seems like it shouldn't be a fight. I would never go in somebody else's country, think I take precedence over their citizens. It's not heard of. It's not heard of.
Try going to Russia and doing that.
It's not heard of. So that's why I know that you're not from this country. Because this conversation went longer than it should. It should not even be an issue. Like, we're helping everybody else to say help Americans, and you're offended? Y'all do more than Americans? Really?
They love us giving billions to Ukraine.
Really? Like, Americans don't work? Really? But anyway, you guys, thanks for watching. I got other shows I need to do. Go to Speak the Sports. That's my fun channel. I'm going to talk about some NFL football, NBA basketball. You know the finals going on. I'm not really crazy about people do. They glad the Knicks. I think it's taken them like 25 years or 27 years to be in the finals or go, be in anything like that. So I know Stephen A. Smith is happy about that. But I love my Speak to Sports, so I'm gonna jump on there today and pray to all here. I need to work on that. That's pray to all here. So I want to work on that. Probably do daily prayers for people that highlight my pastor, Philip Anthony Mitchell. He's a man of God. We live in the last days, and everything on this stream shows that. But don't forget to hit the like, share, subscribe to Speak the Sports, Speak the Truth, and pray to all here. God bless you all. And I like these conversations because it shows me where we're at as a nation. This just shows the mindset of the people, and is great because this is how you have to have these kind of conversations. Maybe people who are non-citizens to see that how can you be that selfish to feel as though that Americans shouldn't support other Americans. So that just exposed your character and who you are.
One thing is just so crazy that people are totally comfortable and still stand 10 toes down for what the Democratic Party has done to this nation. It's just the crazy thing about it.
Well, that's how they are these days. But we live in the last days, and it sure do shows because people can't handle too much unless you really got to be in. Like if I did this channel, like when we was getting 200,000 views per stream and stuff like that, thousands of subscribers per month, because channel is still relatively new. It's only been around like now a year and a half, and we've had we were pushing on 20 million views since we've had this channel. So, but that was like going along with a lot of the stuff. But we're going to always stand on principle. Like we're going to stand on what's right. I can't help it. It's just not in me not to speak the truth. Period. And it shows me the people that's been on here that's standing 10 toes down for non-citizens, but refuse to stand 10 toes down for American citizens to receive the same resources.
Yeah, we don't really have a target audience because we just tell it how it is.
Yeah.
And each channel like Fox News, ABC, they have their target audience that watch.
We're not targeting. Initially, it was more Republicans.
Yeah.
And I believe in a lot of Republican values. Like I stand with them on no men and women sports, same sex marriages and all that stuff. I stand on that, not mutilating children and all that kind of stuff. So and they had to define what genders are is just male, female, which is crazy. So I stand on a lot of their principles because they're biblical principles. So I don't stand on abortion and all that other stuff because it's not of God. So I'm like this. That's why I'm independent at this point because it's all over the place right now. So you got to look at different candidates and people individually at this point because people sell you a song and a dance, but when it comes to actually doing, like, people not voting for non-citizens. When Americans go to polls, we're voting that they would do something about our lives. This is our lives. And now it's like taboo to even like we're not even supposed to have rights any longer.
And people don't like us too, since the one side thing, they don't like us criticizing both parties.
Yeah, we criticize both parties.
Yeah.
Because nobody's perfect. Each party has their different downfalls. And then each party have good things about them as well. So it's not just black and white. It's like you just got to pick and choose, but you still should stay true to yourself. And that's not trying to insult non-citizens because this country said come on in. But we're not going to speak lies about the impact of what happened to this country. It was a huge impact when they did that, when Biden administration did that. We weren't having these conversations before the Biden administration. We weren't going through all of this. But now this is the new America.
Now they took over hotels too. You go to a hotel and it's packed in there with non-citizens.
But there's so much that's going on that's in this country. But it's going to be interesting 2028 to see who's going to run, who's going to be elected to the highest office, and how the house is going to flip. Things are going to flip. They're probably going to try to impeach Trump again. that's probably gonna happen. There's a lot of stuff that's going on, and I don't know how much more this country is going to endure because it's so divided. Like your president and your country, they're supposed to bring everyone together. Even when Obama was president, people didn't agree, but you had white, black, and every ethnicity that supported him. And it seemed like now the country seems just more divided to me than ever because you never have president's name calling, and I think that that's like Trump trolls, and I think it's funny at times because he's a troller, but at different times it's not coming off right because you can't alienate half of America.
Yeah, I don't like him saying, "Oh, the deranged lunatics." And,
Oh, dumb left and all. You can't keep those as citizens of this country.
Yeah, not just the president for the Republicans.
He got to stop seeing himself like that.
Yeah.
You know, he got his he need to tell him, look, y'all might not like me, but I'm your president too. Just you're the he needs to understand that. So anyway, you guys, thanks for joining us. Speak the Truth 2.0. Don't forget to hit the like, share, subscribe. Thank you to our moderators, Indoor, and there was some more on here. Who else?
Pest Meat Eagle.
Oh, okay. Thanks for joining us. Anyway, God bless you guys, and we're going to come back on because it's a story that I want to do that that we're going to put together. We're going to start doing other stuff because I got to find out what's going on with this YouTube channel. God bless you guys. Have a great